Okay. Just one second.
He said, conserve.
Just take a lot of
Don't take it Thursday, it's not
He
helpful.
goes to the doctor next Thursday.
And one day, it's not helpful. Yeah.
Wow, he said, conserve.
All right.
All right, why don't we get started,
We had
folks?
one change here, we had to put on this for Bill Riker, nothing has to be done on it, it's just.
I'm sorry
so that
about
it
the
was-
East Cruise and the
Mr. Wine has a new
I never
camera.
did that on the.
Yeah, look at that, tripod over there.
But everyone calls it
tripod.
spruce.
Yeah.
Getting smaller.
And I only worked off the letter,
Right.
the recommendation letters, and I don't know.
There's an area of your, East Cruise that wasn't very supposed to do, but hold that.
Okay, good.
Ready?
Yeah, let's
Ready?
go.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 10, 2017, and revised by email on August 7, 2017.
Thanks, Katie. Roll call, please.
Mayor Coles?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Here.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Here.
Committeeman Ackerman? Is absent?
No, he'll be late. He
He'll
went
be
to the,
late.
he went to the
Are we
meeting
voting
tonight.
on this?
Committeeman Delia?
He called me.
Okay, thank you. Tom? take it
Black
away.
folder, everybody.
Well, tell you what, well, before we start, Mayor, do you want to have the gentleman go over anything? Do you have any specific
Sure.
questions? This way they have a
Sure.
chance to take a break before the meeting starts
Yes.
downstairs?
I wanted to thank Marty and Harold for, we've been on a couple of conference calls with the DEP and we're preserving some land. I think it's almost 700 acres, correct, if I'm correct. And I'm sorry, Chris, you were on it also.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And Chris Kristen as well, which is fantastic. And that was always our plan, endorsement plan from when we started about 10 years ago. And that's really good. I had a question initially, I thought that we were protecting acreage that was not in our agreement with the DEP, but Marty just explained it to me. And basically, anything that's not in the SSA, we're able to protect. Is that correct? Which is the reason we pulled it out of the SSA. Am I saying that correctly? SSA is sewer
Sewer
service.
service.
Sorry. Am I saying that correctly?
That's correct.
So it's clear, nobody here on the committee had an opportunity, as far as I know, to read through these properties lot by lot. Maybe somebody did, but nobody, I asked, so far nobody here told me that they did. And I didn't have an opportunity to do it either. I'm just, wanting to double check that those lots are all correct. That's exactly what the DEP is expecting. I would hate to find out that there's a piece of property that, we've already had another plan for that's going into some sort of protection, or that there's a property that should be protected that we're not protecting. It's gotta be, well, because that was the whole purpose of doing that SSA. So as long as all that is on the mark, that's fantastic. And Mayor, we're gonna be preserving, we'll take the first step toward preserving over 700 acres tonight.
At all?
That's all.
It's about 4.5% of the township's property, the township's land area.
No, it's no joke. I appreciate all the work you guys have done on it. What I really wanted you to come tonight for is, there's a lot of confusion probably as to exactly what these ordinances that we're putting forward tonight are. When you go downstairs, I just want to have, maybe before we do the public, I'd like you to just give a brief presentation as to why the ordinance are there, what it's going to accomplish, how many acres we're going to preserve, the other positive aspects of it, that it's going towards the plan review. And then what I'll do is I'll open up the meeting to the public. This way, if anybody has questions about it, they can ask you directly. And once the questions for you guys are done, you can take off. You're always welcome to stay.
Mayor, I did have one more question. I think I saw that are we second reading the riparian ordinances tonight?
Yes, which we're gonna carry. Yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna make sure.
There's 2 on for second reading,
Three.
wellhead protection.
3 on for second reading.
Well, 1 is being carried.
Sorry. That's what I
Riparian's
wanted
being
to
carried,
make sure.
wellhead protection, and the
Water conservation.
water conservation
Water
part.
protection on
Second reading
and
tonight.
riparian, we're gonna carry, and we're gonna make sure that they're advertised in the master plan.
And the first read tonight, the first reading is the conservation of the acreage. That's only for a first read, so it's not open to public, but
And that doesn't need to
we
be
can make that
noticed.
presentation.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'd like you to just give a brief explanation of those 4 ordinances. Why are we carrying the one tonight? What was the
Because,
reason?
the 35, well, no, because it's gonna be adopted as part of the master plan.
Because if not, Mayor, what happens is there are certain areas in town that are near waterways and wetlands. And what we're doing is we're providing zoning to protect them.
Okay, I
But
got
it's
you.
considered a significant change.
So we have to
We'd have to
notice
notice
the whole town.
everybody.
Okay.
So for noticing the whole town now.
Explain that, because, I don't want
That's-
our conspiracy theorists saying that we're hiding anything, so.
And the DEP's well aware of that. They're well aware of how
Yes.
the presentation, but
Very
they've
well.
requested, as Mayor knows, that these ordinances get in the pipeline. And that's what we're accomplishing here.
Okay, great. All right, Tom.
All right, first, the program.
You guys want to take some?
As you know, for
Thank you.
2016 and 2017, we did Clifton Avenue. I'd like to do the third phase of Clifton Avenue with that, that's okay.
Okay, can I ask, what I've done in the past years through the chair is we told the committee members, giving committee members an opportunity to throw some streets in that we all thought was, either we get citizen complaints or just driving around town that we see. So before we decide, can you like give us a deadline, just say 5 committee members, by October?
But you have to understand, with this road program, it can't just be township roads. It has to be connected to a state or county highway. So you're really limited on what you can do. And we already have 2
Oh,
phases.
so this is not our regular bond?
No, this is
No, no.
just money direct from the state for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've already done the first 2 parts, let's get it complete.
Oh, I'm with that.
Okay.
So, I agree. Can I
No,
ask
we will
for-
go over before we set up next year's program.
Right, so give us like a 2-week notice or a 3-week notice that says you got 2 or 3 weeks to call out the roads, and we all put our heads together.
Well, that's,
and see
well, that's
what-
well, last year what I did is I bought everything in November and gave it to everybody, and what the list was is what I did.
Right,
So that's,
exactly.
I'll do the same thing
Right,
this
so
year.
just send an email to everybody, say, look, it's getting to be, start thinking about the roads. I've sent you a couple of
Yeah,
requests already.
and I'll send you what we received in already.
Good.
People
Good.
want.
We'll
So
send
I'll have a whole
November.
list of that too for next year.
Okay.
All right? Okay. Next is, let me hand this out. Where is it? Right here. A traffic study, somebody wanted it on from Mazer as to what they feel we should look at immediately.
This is the short-term traffic study, right?
Mhm.
Mayor, I'm not sure, while I appreciate that Mazer did the work, and they're really fantastic at helping us pull all this together, but some of this, for example, number one, oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking to you, I wasn't the one that asked for this to be put on, was there somebody else?
No, I think you wanted it on.
I did?
Somebody did, yes, I put it on.
I don't, all right, well, if I want it on, then I could talk.
You can talk to it if you don't want to. It's here, you might as well talk. Drove all the way down, left your vacation a couple of days early to come tonight, you can say whatever you want.
So number
Doesn't mean we're
one.
going to listen to you, but.
Number one, I don't think we need them for the warrants and stuff. They want, it turns out someplace, it looks like it's gonna cost us between $10,000 and $11,000 an intersection. We've done so many always stop signs in town, where the police department does the warrants, our public works construction, unless there's some real hard, that's on the first page, unless there's something really weird about the intersection, like there's something in the way, I mean, this is all stuff that we could do in-house. The striping improvements, basically, I think we could do that in-house.
Yeah, we can.
Parking prohibition, striping improvements. Look, the concept plans for Route 88, that's something we need to work with Mazer on. The Vine Street extension, I think we're already in the middle of doing, right? We hired somebody for the DEP. The new traffic signals. James and Williams is a county road, and the other 2, I guess we could consider for next year. Park and 4th and Ridge, and Park and 7th, which they see, which I happen to agree is a pretty needed area. And the rest are studies. So, I mean, other than the studies and those traffic signals which may have to be designed, I think everything can be done in-house. But my question is, similar to what we did with the roads, when do you want us, you need to tell us, Tom, when do you want us to say, okay, guys, we, like this year we put aside about $2.5 million for just the traffic intersection,
Traffic's, yeah.
right? So let's say we're gonna do another 2.5 for next year, I'm just picking, I don't know what number we're gonna come up with. These 2 that they recommended we should look at, and we should the same thing as the roads, let the
I'll
whole
be
committee have
putting-
input.
Yeah, put everything together, you know.
So everybody knows what's being proposed and what they feel is missing, and then we'll just see what we have money for.
Okay. That in-house stuff, I can get that started, you know,
Yeah.
pretty quick. All right.
Yeah, so the in-house stuff, let's just move on, and then the other stuff goes in.
Number 3, planning board recommendations. We received this back. I know we're doing some of the ordinances tonight, so I guess there's really nothing to discuss.
We should have, the one that we got back should only have been the riparian, only one of them, right?
Well, the other ones are on there, but the only one that's for consideration at this meeting was the riparian zone. They need recommendations to the 2 other ones, but they're not being heard until the 31st. They have the one for Adams and the one for.
Oh, that's not.
We had to give them 35 days on the parking ones to get through. The only one I was on repairing and they're agreeing to it, but we're not doing that until.
But
next
did they
week.
agree to the riparian one? Were there any?
Yes, they were in
No
favor.
no comments?
No comment.
All right, so the planning board recommendations are for the ordinances that we'll be doing on the 31st.
No.
The riparian zone's on there also, but we're
Right.
carrying that.
That until the
when-
master.
I'm talking about the other ones that you just
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yes.
But they had comments on one of them.
Right.
So let's go through that and see, so if
Who
we're going
had
to read this on the
comments?
31st, let's find out what
On the
they're.
attics and the parking you told me.
Yes.
So let's hear what their concerns were, and if we're going to change it, we can either change, you know, if it's a minor change, if it's major, we're going to have to start over.
It's not minor, the
Wait,
or-
wait, wait, hold on. You know the rules on this. You don't have to listen to the planning board. You
I know,
don't-
but I still want to hear what they have to say.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that you don't have to agree with that.
they want the bedrooms counted on an individual basis. The way the attic, the habitable attic was written is if you prepare, build a house with a habitable attic, it counts as one bedroom. Planning board's recommendation is just count the bedrooms. And if you've got 2 bedrooms in the attic, then you're gonna need the equivalent number of parking spaces. They're saying to do the same thing for the basements. If you've got 2 bedrooms in the basement, count the number of bedrooms down there. The way we were doing it was, and the reason they're assuming that everybody's gonna just go ahead and say what they're gonna build. And the
People
object.
don't. The problem was people building a house and leaving the attic vacant.
Correct, but if it qualified as habitable, the ordinance we drafted said, give them a parking space,
Right.
make them have a parking space
Right.
for it. The planning board is saying, just count how many bedrooms they're putting up in the attic, and we don't know that, and that was,
Correct. Correct.
if we do that, they do a plan that says no bedrooms in the attic, we can't, there's no parking space that's enforced. So that was their recommendation, count the actual number of bedrooms, they want to
So
say.
if they put through, now, our ordinance is going to say that if you have a habitable attic, whether you're planning on bedrooms or not, it's being counted as
One bedroom.
Okay.
I think that-
They're saying that they want the applicant to say how many bedrooms are going upstairs at the time. If they say none, then they would say none. But my point is, I don't mind adopting the thing that if an applicant comes in and says, we're gonna put 2 bedrooms upstairs, why they would, I don't know. Hopefully they'll be honest, we can count it. But if they say no, I still want that attic counted as a bedroom, because down the road, they can't go back.
Basically, the planning board is asking us, from what I understand, is not to adopt the ordinance. The amount.
They're the ones who recommended that we do this.
I know, that's what I'm trying to understand, because my understanding is now, if somebody comes in, Harold, correct me if I'm wrong, is there a maximum amount of parking spots? Maybe that's what it is. Is there a maximum amount of parking spots needed, no matter how many bedrooms you have?
The ordinance goes up to 10, I think. 10
For how many?
bedrooms, and I don't remember what it is, if it's 6 or 7 spaces, it keeps continuing up.
It
and
goes up till 10 bedrooms.
RSIS stops at 5 in this.
Goes up to 10.
Ten.
Are we
So
allowed to
this-
exceed the RSIS standards?
Yes. Of course it does.
Yep.
So
Well,
we're
we
allowed
have
to-
Yeah, our ordinance
now
does.
Okay.
Because the RSIS only contemplates cars up to 5 bedrooms. So once you hit 5 bedrooms, you don't need more parking spots. Let's say you need a 3
I understand.
5, right? So our ordinance says if you go from 5 to 10, you need, what is it, additional certain amount of spot per bedroom. And now what you were saying there was, this is what will make the difference, is what to realize. That if somebody comes and shows a plan for 10 bedrooms plus a habitable attic, then you want the additional spot above the 10. And what the planning board is saying is only count up to the 10, And I'm assuming the reason they're saying that is because they don't think with the attic and the rooms and the basement that people are doing more than 10 bedrooms in a house. So they figure that there's enough in those 10 bedrooms. And what you're saying is, look, if somebody comes in with 7 bedrooms plus a habitable attic, then it's like the 8 bedrooms. If somebody comes in with 8 plus a habitable attic, then it's the 9.
Do you agree with that?
I think so.
All right, so can we put something along the lines then, if it exceeds 10 bedrooms, then the attic doesn't have to be
You don't
counted?
have to write that, that's what it is. If somebody comes in right now, right, if somebody comes into the planning board right now for 10 bedrooms.
But we're not talking about 10 bedrooms, I'm talking about a normal house, 4 bedrooms, and then finish off the attic, that's gonna be 5 bedrooms, and the basement 6.
You don't need to
2.
make it habitable.
Make it happen.
2 bedrooms to the basement.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay, so
So there's no, but you don't have to tweak the language, I don't think, I mean, you can.
well, what are they saying then? Because
That's what I
what do they want
understand.
above what we have in there?
Count the bedrooms. Count the bedrooms. Instead of saying you got a habitable attic, you get one more bedroom number space. They're saying, you put a habitable attic in, count how many bedrooms are put out there, and then count. You got 4 downstairs, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7 in
I
the
don't have a
attic.
problem with that, but how can you prove that somebody's gonna turn an attic into 2 bedrooms?
You
That's what I
cannot.
wanna know.
You
Right,
cannot.
so my point is, it's gonna be counted as the 1. If they come in with a plan that says 2, then we can count it as 2.
Correct.
Maybe they need to insert something in the checklist that asks how many bedrooms you're gonna put in the attic.
Well, they do. That's part of it. If they built a house and said, I'm having an attic and 2 bedrooms, bedroom, there's the parking spaces,
Right.
it's adding on. What we're saying is, you have a habitable attic, I don't care what you say you're gonna put in it or not, you need a parking space for it. It's gonna be counted as a bedroom.
So I'm saying, there's nothing more for us to do on the change, Mayor, that, it already says that if there's a bedroom, if the applicant says there's 1 or 2 bedrooms in the attic, they already have to provide the parking.
Right.
What you're saying is that if it doesn't say anything, you want it to be counted as 1 bedroom. And the
Correct.
only time that will make a difference, if you think about it, is if there's already 10 bedrooms on the plan and the habitable attic would be counted as the 11th. Because anything under the 10, they would count it as 9 and we're counting it as 10, but that's where it would stop. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's only if they say they're gonna have 2 bedrooms in the attic, that's the only time that becomes relevant.
Right.
I'm gonna allow, since you've been following this from the beginning.
Yes, could I explain something what's going on with the problem? Like this will give some education.
I just said, don't use up your time, you have 3.5 more minutes.
The problem with the start is because you have a similar ordinance with the basements. You made that ordinance that basement, when you come in for a basement, a row basement, they have to count it as 2. There is a similar ordinance. What happened was the engineering department says that even if you make 5 bedrooms in the basement, they're counting that as the ordinance and saying only we have to count it as 2. So that means is originally it was done to alleviate the parking problem, to count it as 2, and by the end, if somebody makes 5 bedrooms, they still have to count it as 2. So the question the planning board came, and I raised it over there, if this ordinance is going to be a similar problem to the basement ordinance. That means what you're trying to do is, I know what you're trying to do, and that's how I was reading the basement ordinance. The problem is the engineering department doesn't read it that way. They have,
I understand what you're saying, so then the mayor, believe it or not, was right.
You got that? Point it at the camera and say it again.
So I guess the tweak that we would have to make to the ordinance is that if it's a habitable attic
One at least.
and no bedrooms, it's 1 spot.
Right.
But if they say that there's gonna be more bedrooms there, then you've gotta put 1 in each.
There you go.
And then do the same with the
It's
basement.
gonna save a half-hour discussion, but we're just listening.
And if the basement's a problem, we can tweak it to show the basement. If they put 3 bedrooms down there, you're not counting the basement as 2, but you're counting it as 3 because they actually.
Well, we have to make sure the engineering department understands the intent.
No, we have to speak to them about that, because a lot of the basements don't take more than that car. And, yeah,
If you
but
have
let's
a-
move one thing at a time.
They use the young families
It's gonna look
there.
like parking
Right,
lots.
it's
I
young
understand.
families, so you have 2 parents that most have 2 cars. So whether you have 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, you'll still have 2 cars. So I don't believe that, that's usually who lives in a basement apartment is the younger newly married couples.
That's where I started.
Exactly, they're not having teenager daughters, so we have to start counting bedrooms, so that's how many people will be in the house, then now we need additional spaces. I don't believe that that's.
Exactly.
All right, so let's
We'll
deal
leave
with
it the way
the
the
attic
mayor
first,
said.
let's get that.
That's the way I
So
think
is
it
that
should be.
is that a major change? Do we have to reintroduce?
Steve.
No,
No.
No? Okay.
that's, it's a rule, not a 10.
It's a couple of words we
I
can
don't
put
know.
into
I'm
the
just
ordinance.
asking, so we know what's going on for next meeting.
All right, foreclosures.
Okay, and trying to reduce, and trying to reduce our reserve for uncollected taxes. I've been working with FD and Ed Seeger to come up with, it's quite a bit. And I want to do foreclosures on some because I could save probably a little over $1 million on just the foreclosures. And in talking to Sal Fieri, he says his firm really doesn't do it, and he recommended Keith Bonci from Atlantic County, who actually teaches the course to get it done.
Can I, through the chair, once again?
Of course.
If we're doing foreclosures, the first thing that has to happen is we need a physical description of what's happening on each lot. Because the mistake that we've made time and time again when this comes up,
Right.
is we do it off the paper. Then we end up taking a community center on Joe Parker Boulevard, we end up taking a drainage basin.
Retention basins.
We end up taking things that we don't want.
Correct.
So we have to look at this first
What
and
this is.
see what is on each property. What are you gonna gain by doing a foreclosure?
But here's, let me tell you what you gain, so you understand. We gain the fact that we don't have to pay taxes on that. Because right now, we don't receive money, but it's the township's responsibility to pay the taxes that will be on that property. So the reserve for uncollected taxes here is $5 million. So I'm trying to reduce.
All right, look, we're all on the same page
Yeah.
here. I agree with Mayor. I don't want to have to fight to return another community center to another senior development.
But I changed that. The community center is different if you look
But
on.
what Mayor is saying is.
I pulled that off.
We need to make sure, we want a physical check, I guess, not a lot and block, as to what we are foreclosing. Whether it's an empty lot, I don't want to end up foreclosing on open property within a condo development like happened many years ago.
Okay, because
How many do you have? A lot of them?
yeah, I took this out. This will be totally different. What we do with this one is, we just do, and Harold will have to do it, an ordinance giving these people the property. Because it's a parking lot, it's a retention basin in their HOA. We don't want it anymore.
Right.
I mean, that's why I had them separated.
Okay.
All right?
How did you have them separated?
I told Effie, we came in discussing, she said some are HOA stuff that we own a piece of property, a piece of the parking lot, a piece of this. I said, we'll pull that out of that because this is something we can just get rid of. And then the other would be, and what I'll do is, I'll work up a,
Most people that have a valuable piece of property, most of the time, do not let their property go to tax foreclosure. Most of the time. So either it's somebody who doesn't know that they were collecting the taxes because it's some title chain issue, or it's somebody that really fell on hard times, where there might be something valuable on there that the town has to look at if we're incurring the expense of paying the taxes. But many times it's a property that's so valueless that it's almost not worth it for them to pay the taxes. So we just, please double check. We've had this.
but so then what happens is we foreclose on it and we don't have the responsibility.
But just double check that.
No, I will.
I want a report. This is the entire list here?
Yes.
All right, there's 35. That's not a big request.
No, I know.
To have somebody physically inspect each property to see what's on it and to give us a one-paragraph description of what it is we're foreclosing on so that we can go ahead and do
What do
it.
you suggest, at the assessor's office?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'll have
I
Ed
think
work
the
on it.
assessor's office.
Okay. I just want to know what we're foreclosing on, maybe why we're foreclosing on it, if we can't contact the owner and the bills just keep getting returned, or if it's somebody, like Mayor said, is falling on hard times. Not that we can do anything about that, but let's just make sure we're not getting ourselves into any more
Right,
headaches.
can I also ask that if it's vacant land, that it not just say vacant land, it says what area it's in, off of Spruce Street, off of.
An address.
East
Okay.
Fourth Street, like some, vacant land may not have
An
a
idea,
physical
the
address.
location, the idea of location.
And you should have the zoning in there too. It's residential, it's commercial. It's not that hard to do, it's 35 property. Probably do it in 2 days.
Well,
Let's
yeah.
get it done. I want to save the money too, but again, we've run into it a few times in the past where we've stepped on our own in-the-walk spot.
Okay. And the other stuff though, Harold, on the second page, is the stuff for the HOA that we can give back to the HOA. How would we do that?
These are properties we foreclosed already?
No. No, we haven't foreclosed on. What they are pieces of property in HOAs that for some reason or another, they've been sitting there for years, and we're being charged tax on it. Even, and all I have to do is give it back to the HOA, and then it takes it off our tax roll.
So the question becomes whether they'll take it back voluntarily or not.
No, they want it, it's their playground, it's certain things.
Is there a way to do it?
Not unless they do it voluntarily.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
That's what I
is
mean.
that the way to do it?
Yeah, you write
If
a
we
letter
can do
and
it,
say-
so contact every one of them, explain to them that this is all gonna be common property, right? So it's not like we're gonna be
Correct,
increasing the
it's a
tax.
piece of parking lot, it's a piece of retention basin, it's maybe part of HOA, it's
Is this Lakewood, this one?
it's civil.
No.
Tom, how did we get the property to begin with? By foreclosure, or was it a dedication?
What happened was back in the day, when a builder would go ahead and build a property.
We don't own it yet.
It could be any number of things.
So how, we're gonna foreclose on it.
No, there also were certain areas that what would happen is, when a builder would come in and make a development, so you have, let's say the common area was given a block and lot number. A prior tax assessor would go ahead and tax it as a block and lot until the builder would come in and actually dedicate it as a HOA piece. We currently, tax assessor takes one look at the plan and says, this is the part that's that, and immediately takes it off the tax roll so we don't have this problem. But from prior days, that's what happened, we had
It's the
retention basin.
Horizons case, Menashe.
Exactly,
Yeah.
precisely.
So we don't want any of these falling into that, so this is just a matter of returning property that's mistakenly listed for the township. Send them a letter, contact them, if they'll take it back voluntarily, let's get it
It
done.
goes to a common area and it has to.
And if anybody says no, then we'll come back and we'll figure out what to do
You
next.
can't reverse condemn, in other words, we can.
We haven't condemned yet.
No, what I'm saying, you can't reverse condemn. We can condemn, we can't say you gotta take this back.
Right, I'm just saying, these are in arrears, but they shouldn't be, because they should be all common property. So if they agree to that, we can just give it back to them and it's wiped off the slate, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
But what, I don't understand.
They don't,
Apparently-
it's wiped off the slate?
Well, we're
None of
not
this is
taxing,
stuff that's
we're not
already
taxing
taken.
common areas anymore.
Got it.
Linda used to tax.
This is stuff
common
that might
areas.
be
Right.
taken,
Seeger
that
will
belongs to
tax
common.
will not.
Right, we're trying to
It's-
eliminate.
But we owe
discretionary.
this money, so to speak?
But if they don't take
It's
it
a
back
write-off?
voluntarily, I don't know what we do.
How it works, I'm not sure.
What that is that we have to pay the percentage of school and
Kind of
county
becomes
tax.
common area when the HOA.
By turning that back.
Filed its
Stop that.
Right, we're not collecting it, but we're paying out.
If that's the case,
Got it.
More than half.
then we can, I think you can force it back to the homeowners association.
Okay, but you gotta go through that lawsuit that, the one that the Seagull did, and we got that crazy answer about the phantom properties that's a real pain in the nose.
Yeah, that's high.
Why wouldn't they want it? Why
Right,
wouldn't
these
they
have not
want
been
the
condemned
playground
yet.
back?
If these are mistakes, paper mistakes, let's rectify them and get it done.
They don't have to know
And
that
if the
part.
way to get that done is to physically ask each person to take it back, and if they say yes, then whatever the process is, get it done. If anybody either does not respond or says no, then bring it back, and then we have to
I
figure out
think
what
the
to
key
do
to it
next.
is how you phrase the letter. You've got to phrase the letter that the township is returning this property to you, please sign the attached documents without any further explanation.
Whichever way, you're the.
Yeah, I'll
attorney.
figure out the lingo, yeah. All right, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Next on the list is number 5, a cemetery letter from Woodlawn Cemetery. It more or less deals with, they have people that I guess run in and hit their monuments and things like that.
Yeah.
And they went to the state and the county, and because the state and county road, they won't put up a guardrail. But I don't think we can put a guardrail up either, because it would be a liability on us, and it's not our property.
We would need the permission of the state or the county, which has already denied it to them, no?
Did the state or the county deny it because of money, or because they just wanted to do it for traffic? In other words, were they asking the state or the county to pay for it, or were they asking for permission to put it up there?
I'm sure they were asking for them to put it up and to pay for it.
Yeah.
Look, we did this for Georgian Court on North Lake Drive,
That's our road.
which was our road.
Yeah.
There's a whole separate statute on cemeteries that I'm not familiar with. There's a whole book on how you.
Well, it's not the cemetery per se, it's somebody's private property that's being damaged because of hit and runs or just from where it's at.
I think it's something that, right off the bat, we would like to do, but like liable-wise
All right, let's
and state highway, I don't think we can.
send a letter on our end, on their behalf, to both the state and the county, asking them to erect the guardrails there. And see what, maybe if it comes from the township, say there have been numerous accidents, in the
Please.
interest of public safety, would you please consider erecting these
And I
buildings?
respect the desecration for the graves.
Just take one look at this, just look at the corner of County Line and Route 9. This fence is smashed in over there. It's
Right.
Totally not
Can I
good.
suggest that we get Senator Singer's office involved?
Well, this was sent to him, so.
Oh, he fucked it down to us?
He did it, but we could say that.
Well, no, definitely talk to him first, copy him on it, and ask him to advocate along with us.
He was the one that advocated that we do the guardrail by Georgia Core University, which we did, and then we answered to that is down along the township roads, we put the money out, and we actually went ahead and did it. We actually felt this was pedestrian and motorist safety as well, because if you're constantly having hit runs on the fence, then obviously there's a dangerous situation over there. This is an our roadway, I mean, I'm very in favor of getting this thing done.
I am too.
And we should ask the senator to lobby the state to get this done along Route 9, and because it's their highway, please do it.
That's my point, yeah.
Yeah. And the county too, and if the county says no, then we just take it to the next level.
All right, so the letter should go to the county first?
To both simultaneously.
Okay.
Ask Bob, send it to the county and the state together, send one to Bob, asking him, copying him on it, and asking him to advocate on behalf of both agencies.
The cemetery was one that made a request, but maybe we as a municipality makes requests.
Well, it's,
Yeah, yeah, okay. Got it.
Number 6 is purchase of building. We received a letter from an Eliza Richter. He wanted to purchase or rent a vacant old empty room. I had our public works guys go out there and take a look at it, and they were restrooms, and they're like 15 years old and
No, they're
they're
older than that.
dilapidated.
They haven't been used since, I don't
And-
think.
Well, they're older than that, they're at least 60 years old.
Where is this?
Across
Corner
from
9
St.
in North Lake.
Ah,
So-
we looked at it a couple of years ago.
But it really needs to be taken down, more than leased out or anything.
Can I say something about that, Mayor? There's electric
Can I
and
stop
water,
you?
there's electric and water, I believe, lines to that building.
What? Water.
I think the physical lines are still there. We have a very, very large community that uses our lake. If we're taking that down, why don't we look at seeing if we could do a small, either restroom that Public Works could open in the morning, or if we don't want it open all the time, we can open it on weekends or open it by the fireworks. And we can make a rental out of it, like like what we did with you sell like snacks and soda, maybe
Well,
some.
that's what this gentleman wants to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, maybe somebody,
I remember as a
public-
kid, I remember it being open, and you were able to sit on the
So
roof
many
of it.
people would use it.
No.
Ask Pat
no,
if
no,
it's, ask him to
No,
look
you
at,
don't.
see if it's,
That was always the bathroom. You remember the arcade and the luncheonette where the deck is
Remember
now.
the kids being able to walk to the top. It was-
let's ask him if we wanted to renovate the building to possibly provide a public restroom and a rental opportunity.
Well, he might be.
What
But
interested.
there's nothing there to rent
Yeah.
for, it's just the bathrooms, there's nothing else there.
No.
Well, I have a thought possibly. This could be no cost to us. We tell this guy, you renovate in a way that it has a public bathroom and you're responsible for it.
Yeah, but what Tom's saying is, his
But
bathroom,
township
there's
property?
no store place, there's no rental place. He doesn't know because he hasn't been in it, but it's in the bathroom.
I had public works guys over there, they said it's nothing but restrooms, there's no.
So maybe we can expand the footprint.
Well, I think it's a good idea to put bathrooms
Concession,
down
but then
there.
he's responsible to maintain the bathrooms and keep it.
Let's tell Pat to ask him to look at a couple of different options, that the committee is in favor of renovating or replacing the existing bathrooms and possibly expanding it to provide a rental opportunity for people at the lake. To come up with a couple of ideas and,
Somebody sells soda, ice cream.
What used to be there, where the deck is now, the big deck, that, one half of that was a casino, skill balls and all that. The other half was a luncheonette. What he's saying is you walk right from North Lake Drive, right across the ramp,
Yep. right
that's
on it.
where the deck was on the roof.
Who owned it?
Township.
And it was rented
And it
out?
was rented
Instead
out.
of us putting all the money into it, why don't we just tell
Stanley
Patty to buy
Richard,
the property?
That's,
I agree. to buy the property.
No.
Lease the property.
Don't
when-
sell the lake.
But I want to get some concepts of what might be appropriate there.
Okay.
And then, you know, we could, if we decide we want to do it, then we can go back to him and say, this is our concept, if you want to do it, we'll work out a lease with you.
Okay.
Once we're talking about the lake, if I may, just for 30 seconds, I was in touch, you know, we had this whole incident that took place over in Brook Park and all that. Not too long ago, we repaired the door downstairs by the grandstand, also was vandalized, and the photo machines that are constantly vandalized. I was talking to the guy that does the boating by the lake. He's gonna be putting up a whole camera system and giving access to the police department for it, all out of his pocket, because he's whatever. But he needs his internet just brought to the grandstand, our building, so it sounds like what he's able to do. We just have, I don't know if he's doing grounds these days, if it's phony or whatever it is. Just we need, and it has a physical address, I just don't know what it is, because we have electric brought to the grandstand. We need an opt-online box brought to the grandstand. He'll do all the cameras and all that, that's his, out of his pocket, we just need to get internet.
I did talk to Pat on cameras at all of our parks and stuff like that, so that might be part of the whole thing.
The last one is the road construction, James Street, Prospect Street. You want me to put on there?
Main Street to Prospect.
Mayor or mayor?
No, I had gotten an email from a constituent suggesting we connect that road. I sent something to Jeff and Tom, I think it was this morning, wasn't it, or maybe yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Remington and Vernon got back to me, and they said that because it crosses the Conrail tracks, it's a very expensive and time-consuming proposition. I just wanted to come to the committee and see if there's a desire to even look into it any further.
One second. Where is this between James and?
You have a thing, it's in your book. It shows it.
Main Street to.
Number
Is
seven.
this where we looked at, Mike, by Woodhaven, in
Yeah.
Massachusetts?
Yeah, I think so.
This is,
Yeah, the back page, number 7.
We looked at this.
Hatfield.
James Street goes to Prospect, you cross,
This
it's
isn't
not
James,
Prospect.
this isn't James,
What's
this
this? James Street.
Lewin Avenue and Hatfield Avenue.
Well, we could go to the railroad, but that's not,
Well, I'm not saying it is, I got a
whose
request.
property's on the other side, though? This is the second time we're saying, do you know whose property's on the other side? Is it all on township, is it all on roadway? Because this is
They're
not.
paper streets. Hatfield is,
Mike, this is great. If
Is this where the water company's got a pumping station, on that street?
that's why I sent it to Remington. I just got the request that this would be a good idea. I looked at it, I sent it to Tom, Jeff,
There,
and I asked them to put it on tonight so we could discuss it.
I understand what you wanna do now.
This runs from
basically
James
is what we wanted to
to
do.
Prospect. Fabulous. How do we get this done?
I think it's
Well-
$2 million.
All right, we talk about it for next year's road?
Potentially, also got to go to Conrail.
Well, can we make a decision right now to send a letter to Conrail to get permission?
I'll make the motion, if you want it. You can't make it here, but.
Mayor, can we ask?
The reason he said that number is because they're in the process of doing a similar grade crossing in Middlesex County, I think. And they're a lot further along.
This is west,
It's
this
taking
is
time,
west of
and it's
Woodhaven.
expensive.
It's another connected street, I think it's a great idea. But Mayor, can we ask, the manager to send a letter to Conrail? Start with that?
I'll have
Just say-
R&B send a letter, because they'd be able to explain it better than I could.
Let's start with that.
Good.
That'll be fantastic.
I'm for it.
I love it. Love it.
We'll send the, ask the mayor about it. Thank you for recommending it to us.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
All right, that's all in the black folder. Now we go to the red folder.
You want into executive?
No, we're gonna do property requests first. Any property requests require a close?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, let's just keep going then.
Westgate property?
Is that the Sofa property?
Yes.
So, not the Sofa property, it's our property, the Sofa wants. So this is that property, that I spoke to you about, and they understand that if it goes up for auction, it's public auction, And it's I think it's an open public auction, right?
Correct.
It's not a undersized lot, and in either case, it's probably has a lot of joining property owners. As long as it's not an undersized lot, and they understand, what the price will be, and Steve, I think you had said you do not think that we can lower the
I wouldn't allow you to do that.
assessed value, even though it has a limitation of nonprofit.
I wouldn't let you do that.
Okay, so if this goes out, I think we need to write a letter to them that this would be the assessed value of this property. We don't have a problem putting on a restriction for a nonprofit, but you have to understand that any nonprofit can bid on it. And this is the price, and see if they're interested.
If the school wants to come in and bid it up, they may approve it.
They have a right to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put it up for a non-profit, but it's gonna be an open bid.
With the deed
Well,
restriction.
it's a complicated, before we do that and start, we should write back to them to see if they're interested. If they're not interested, then just let it die, because the price up will just,
Yeah, I won't.
you know what I mean? Because if we're just
Yeah.
gonna put it up.
No, I agree. I'll tell them.
And I told them also very clearly that if we get resistance from the neighbors in Westgate, it's something that we may decide to pull. So they said they were gonna go out and gather support from the neighborhood, because the nonprofit that they plan on putting in there is meant to include and help the people that live in the vicinity.
Like I said, the letter, we'll see what they say.
All right, number 2 is a property request, property 778 on 72.
Engineering is against it.
That's it.
That's it, yeah, that's the same one, yeah, I'm sorry.
I wanted you to know, I went over to Russo's yesterday, and I don't think he's got too much longer to go.
Oh, sorry, this is 62. It's a different one.
But engineering is against it,
Engineering's
so
against it,
it
they're
doesn't
saying-
matter which one it is.
Correct, I know.
So,
No, okay.
Unless they want to take part of it only?
They do have to specify right now. Everyone won't, okay?
No, they don't want it, they don't want it.
All right, number 3 is,
Can I say something for the future, man? What happens is sometimes, and this is similar to what we just said about Westgate, the reason that engineering is against this is because there's one block and lot, and a portion of the property is used as a stormwater basin. And what they're saying is if you sell it, we're gonna have a problem. But if you have something that's this big, and only this portion is being used for stormwater, and somebody wants a good public use for this part of it, we should look at, similar to that's what we just did in Westgate. We're not looking so we should just make sure that, at least maybe have her double check, or him, I don't know if this is Jeff or Ally that did it, Ally, just that it's cannot be continued to be maintained if we spin off a part of it for a public use.
If you want to put it back on the tax rolls.
Yeah, well, if it's public use, chances are it won't be on the tax rolls, but it'll be a public use.
Mayor, would also depend on how the township acquired it. It was dedicated as part of a subdivision. They had to dedicate this lot for stormwater detention. The lot may be limited in that fashion.
That's what I'm saying. If it's
Right.
not limited, right, of course, the easy thing to say is no, because it's a stormwater, but if a good portion, if it's good property in a populated area that needs a public use, and a portion of the property is not being used anyway, just they should just look at that and see if that makes sense. Look, you don't wanna kill the drainage, you don't wanna overburden it, but if it's something that's easily done, why don't we look at it?
yeah, most of the complaints I get from people these days are water related, lighting, potting.
On the other hand, we
So I'm not a
actually-
big fan of,
Right, well, we had a good story with this, and this is something you took care of. This was down by Hope Road, and I forget the name of the side street. Big retention basin that was not working properly, so it was on a huge piece of property. The homeowner association came and kind of bore out part of it, which belonged to the township, fixed up the basin, and was able to put a synagogue next to it. So it was a win-win all around. They didn't even
And they had
require-
no more drainage
and no more drainage problems because they got a better engineering company who was able to reconfigure the retention basin to work better, and plus with so much extra land, we kind of made a subdivision in it, and they were able to actually put a clubhouse for the neighborhood. So it could work.
That also gets into something that at some point I want to talk to the committee about ordinances concerning detention basins and the dedication of them. Our ordinances have two different ways that it's handled, and I think there needs some uniformity, but I want to do that.
Do the master plan, just get it ready for that, and we adopt everything.
Yeah, I don't know that it needs to be as part of, it's not a zoning ordinance, it's what happens with developer that comes in and dedicates a portion.
All right, so just put it together. And
We have a Harold, we have a developers agreement that we do, why don't you put it in there?
Our ordinance has it two ways, one of which is that the property goes to the town and the developer pays $750 a house. The other way is that the developer maintains it. But we have developers that are not maintaining it because they don't have an HOA, and they just let it go, and the town has to clean it up. And the question is, who's it dedicated to, what's its
There's
use
no
for?
HOA, and there's no one, I mean, saying, but the owner held on to it.
And he lets it go to tax sale. That's what happens. He just says, I'm not gonna pay, I'm not gonna maintain, I'm not gonna do anything.
Then we foreclose on it instead of getting paid $750.
And now exactly, so the two ordinances have to be clarified a little bit, and I've been looking at that and trying to organize it, because we've had lawyers writing to us about it. One of them was Doyle wrote to us about one of the properties like that.
Got it.
Number 3 is a street vacation. Everyone take a look at that.
Mayor, I think this is what I spoke to you about. This is opposite, is it? Is this on Locust by the,
Yes, that's not okay.
right by Harrogate? Yeah.
The one I didn't want to do.
No. This is the one that you thought you didn't want to do.
Now, this is the one, and it was presented to me. They wanted Evergreen vacated, they wanted those two streets vacated, and it was in conjunction with property owners who want to do the Ferry and June Street vacation, and Harrogate, who wanted Evergreen vacated so that it doesn't come up opposite their street. Jeff Stager sent me a letter that said that Evergreen should not be vacated, so I tossed the whole thing, in which case the developer threw Harrogate under the bus and said, we don't care about that, just vacate these two streets.
But it's two different developers. That's what I was trying to tell you. I don't think that Evergreen and Ferry and June are all owned by the same developer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
They're not owned by the same developer.
No, there were different parties involved in this. If I read just the first page here, Jeff says that, according to his information, there are different owners for the various lots in question along both streets. The ownership of the lots need to be under the same ownership so that no landlocked lots are created. I don't see how we can go forward with this until that's taken care of.
Well,
I'm fine.
I agree with the
reason-
mayor, I don't think we should touch it until we make sure it's all in order, and right now, we don't know. But all we know
Well,
is
if
that.
they get it in order, because they had called me because they thought there was confusion that they were one and the same developer as the other one. So do you want to tell them that if the engineer is okay with it, if they line everything up, that we're okay? How do you want to handle this?
I want to see what they're going to do. It's one thing to vacate those two streets. I've been told 4 different things, 4 different times about what the plan here is. Apparently now what they want to do is bring a street down in the middle of it and use, I think Temple Street at the end to have it come around, but I still don't see any documentation on how they're going to
He didn't object to the description.
continue to get out there. If Evergreen is not completed, how do they get back out? They're going to have to put a cul-de-sac in there. How big is a cul-de-sac? Is it big enough for the
I
trucks?
understand what you're saying.
I don't have any of that information in front of me other than these 2 things.
I'm gonna have Drew call you and work it
No,
out.
it doesn't have to call me. He has to give a
More
presentation
specific.
that says exactly what they're going to do
That's exactly.
to the township. He wants the township committee to do this. I'm not
Come
problem helping them to get it done.
So can we ask them to come into next executive session?
What do you
With
make
Jeff?
what do you make a subcommittee to meet on this?
Well, the mayor said no. I asked that
See, they don't
question.
tend to use Evergreen, so I don't see how they're going to get back out. And that is not what they came to me at first. It was a joint venture with Harrogate, not together, because Harrogate was going to dedicate all the property they have along there as open space in exchange for
I understand.
vacating Evergreen so that they don't have to worry about people
People coming
head
out
on.
opposite them, I understand.
I'm not against that, but.
I
the
think they
engineering
knew
department said
that, I'm
no.
not 100% familiar, but I think they had a way of getting out, the way they were doing
I
like.
just said it, you think. I don't know until I know, I
Correct.
don't want to go ahead.
How would you like them to present it?
I'd like it on paper. Just show us what you're going to do.
show us a picture of exactly what it's.
Show it.
I met with them a couple of times, and each time it was a different thing. We were bouncing ideas around.
Okay. Fine, I'll have them do it, I'll get it up, no problem.
All right, next is county easement. Harold?
Yeah, it's ironic it's on, because I was just on the phone today with Barry's office. They asked for 2 easements with guy wires. I sent it off to Jeff to just make sure that 10-foot by 10-foot meets and bounds were okay. It didn't interfere with anything the town was doing. He gets back to me if the committee's okay. I'll draft up and give them their.
If they give us the fence along the cemetery.
The utility easements, I can ask for that, sir.
Harold, I like the way she writes, Laura Benson writes in a letter. As a sister public agency, we appreciate your dedication. Let her know we're also sister public agencies, and the L'chaim issue, and whatever the other issues we're having, tell her to please take care of it.
I talked to Effie, if you want to,
Okay.
if you want to talk after about L'chaim, I can tell you the latest on that.
Now, this woman called the office today, wanting to know why we haven't responded.
Colleen Gonzalez, the secretary?
Colleen, no, Laura Benson.
Oh, Laura did?
Tom's River Councilwoman.
Yeah.
No,
she's the lawyer.
She's the lawyer at Barry's
Well, it
office.
says here, Colleen of Tom's River, Laura Benson.
Colleen's her secretary, that's what I was on the phone
It
with
says
today.
Colleen of Tom's River Councilwoman Laura Benson's office called.
Oh.
No, she's not a councilwoman.
No, she lives on Long Beach Island.
That's a mistake.
Yeah.
She's 40.
Mayor, I was on it, they sent me their meets and bounds descriptions, what they needed, I sent it to Jeff, he gives a thumbs up on it. This should be fine. This is
Laura
a
Benson is
small
the county,
County
council.
All right, I'm just saying, I got this at 5 o'clock when I was walking through the door.
Yeah, well, it's Barry Shradnick, county council for years.
I'm upset saying we called you 3 times, and Susie says we have no record of them ever calling you before, so.
Yeah, I'm surprised you got it at 5, because I was on the phone this all afternoon, not all afternoon, but a couple of times this afternoon, getting the information
No, I know
sent
what
off
time
to
the email
Jeff.
came through, I saw it at 5.
Okay. Well, they reached out to us too, and that's when I started talking to Jeff. So,
All right, number 6 is actually number 5. It's a request.
Number 6 is number 5.
Exchanging of properties.
Oh, the 6 is, I don't know if you need this anymore. This was that behind the, this would be, the park.
Yeah, but there was one,
You don't need it anymore. Do you still
there
have to
was
do
one
this?
piece,
Right.
we don't have to, but I'd like to be able to dedicate the whole thing as a park.
So that's, if you want to dedicate the whole thing and look at it, if not, no, that's what this does. This is go ahead and we're doing an exchange, or possible exchange, 3 separate options here of exchanges now. There are prices here, so I'm not going to discuss this now, we'll go into the executive.
Who's buying Triumph Properties?
I don't know.
Do you know? Just
I'm just looking here, I'm looking for streets. All I got is blocks and lots and numbers, but.
Well, Steve, here's the question before we even go into this. There's a piece of property, can I show it to you? There's a piece of property right here. And that red strip is
Great
owned by a
word.
developer, okay? The rest is ours. The mayor,
But there's 2 red strips.
this one,
Okay.
in the yellow box. The yellow box is gonna become a park. Okay, it's a private guy that owns this. Okay, he says he's willing to swap properties. If we give him a property someplace else in the town, he'll give this to us to complete the park.
Is this part of Crystal Lake?
No.
No?
As long as he doesn't specify the property, I'm okay with it.
You specify 3 properties.
He gave us 3
Give us a
different
choice,
ones.
A, B, or
Let
C.
me look at it.
Okay.
You know, you look at it.
I mean, I'd like to be able to dedicate the whole parcel. as a
I
park.
understand that, but if he said, I want this property for that property, I wouldn't recommend it, but he says,
These are 3 that look into and see.
Yeah, let me look.
Read the letter.
Go through it and see.
Those are the-
If we can do it, we will. If not,
Right.
it's gonna be a U-shaped park.
It's active recreation in that area, it's gonna be not a passive recreation park.
No, park.
No, it's gonna be probably mostly passive, there'll be some, but it's not gonna be playgrounds and
That's what I'm
tracks and
asking.
stuff. It's gonna be
You're
pretty
not
much
gonna
open
have, you're not
space.
gonna have tot lots and a basketball court there, Mayor?
Because they don't want it. What they want is
Just
an
pass.
open green area, like a buffer, but
Benches.
I figure the more green space we dedicate, the better we will be in the long run.
I thought they would want something for their kids, but that's okay.
I think they already have. They can expand what they have.
All right, no, I've been talking to him with the mayor. For some reason, I assumed he was an active.
Are we doing 5?
We just did 5. That was, you know, I had 6 on there.
Oh, 5 and 6 are the same?
Yeah, park properties, that's the same thing. So that's, yeah.
He just wasn't sure between the black folder.
Does anybody else have any open session business they would like to discuss before we go to executive? Because we will not be going back into open once we
I
go to
just,
executive.
I have one question. I got caught from Tom Lorraine. I understood that was all approved for the signs of no parking. All the neighbors were for it. I understand even the shul there was for it. They were okay. And they still haven't been put up. And,
We do an ordinance?
yeah, I believe we did the ordinance. I think we might have been holding on the ordinance because somebody said they wanted to check with the neighbors.
Which area is this?
Did we get a petition?
Down on County Line Road.
It's actually Lane's Mill.
Lane's
Did we get
Mill,
a
right.
petition?
Is that Rena Lane?
No, we didn't get a
No,
petition.
okay, different one, okay.
No, we didn't get a petition.
We didn't do an ordinance.
So we didn't do
No,
it.
we didn't do the ordinance. We held.
Procedure, how this works is first an ordinance for the neighborhood telling us to do it, and then we go ahead and move on it.
We did send traffic safety out there, they did a survey. They went door to door. That was what was asked to be done.
This is weird, your neighborhood, right?
No,
This is
no,
on Lane's Mill Road.
Tom
between-
Lorraine.
Here's the letter. We did this on Spruce.
Oh,
We-
the letter's old. It's
We
all
got rid
old
of the
stuff.
parking on Spruce people, we went to all the houses, they all signed on to it. This way, when anyone came to us afterwards and said, why is this done? We said, hey.
Traffic safety said they have.
They have it, send them forward it to Tom and we'll get it rolling. But way back in there, we were very big into making sure we get everything on paper, so no complaints afterwards. Went, oh, this is what you wanted, we did it because you wanted. That's no complaints afterwards.
I see your point, I see your point.
Real fast before you want anything else, as liaison for
Take all the
purchasing.
time you want.
Liaison for purchasing. There's the Cruiser Hall out in Pine Park has been also on the list of all the places that get it. We have a private contractor who does exterminating the county, the buildings, does all that stuff. Tom, you smooth that out. What happened was, when Cruiser Hall was taking over, so this contractor is still doing the exterminating. However, he's not been paid because the Historical Society says it's a township building, township should pay, and Tony says it's the Historical Society. The ironic part is, it all comes out of one pot, it all comes out of one pot.
And we give them a budget.
Exactly, so I don't know where it's, all I know is that it's been since January, and for one, all his bills are paid.
How much could it be a month already?
$100, $100 a month, that's all. But if it's a city, I don't know what we can make
Just
it.
tell them, just tell them to send it.
You got it.
The Historic Society has done an incredible thing out there. They have raised a couple of $100,000
It's
that they
amazing,
put
that
in
place
to
is
renovate that
It is
building.
beautiful, it's really beautiful.
So
Yeah,
let's,
just tell them.
I'll get it to you, done. Thank you, Tom.
anything else?
Yep.
Nope, that's it.
We want to go into closed?
I'll move it.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Does she have to announce something?
No, there isn't any for example.
Yes. Katie, would you do the announcement, please?
Yes. The announcement,
When it will be open?
when are we going into close for?
It's on the list here,
Personnel, health.
litigation, personnel, contract.
Here we go.
When
We
will
will
it be?
not be going back to open session.
When will this closed session be available to the public? Also has to be announced.
Once it's all been settled.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get out of sponsors. I'll let you know when I get one.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 10, 2017, revised via email on August 7, 2017. Please rise for the flag salute and remain standing for the prayer.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we humbly ask thy blessings upon this township committee and all those in authority so that they may serve the people. Look down with mercy on our weaknesses and stretch forth your divine power to guide us. All this we ask in thy name. Amen.
Before everybody sits down, I'd just like to ask for a moment of silence to recognize Gene Cotillo, a longtime planning board member, a longtime Lakewood resident, and a good friend of many of us standing up here. He passed away the other day. So please just a moment of silence for him. Thank you very much. All right, we have no minutes to approve.
No, sir.
Want to move open session?
Move.
Moved by Mayor. Second by Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Up, Mike. All right, before we get going with the public portion, we have a couple of gentlemen from T&M Associates here tonight. We have several ordinances that are on that have to do with our plan endorsement, as well as protecting a lot of vacant property in town. I'd like to ask them just to give us a brief presentation of what those ordinances are for and what we're trying to accomplish with them. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Martin Truscott. I'm with T&M Associates, Township Planner. Have with, to my right is Chris Christon, also with T&M Associates, and I'm sure he'll introduce himself, but he has some remarks too. I wanted to, as the Mayor said, give a brief explanation of some of the ordinances that are on for discussion for second reading tonight, and also one for first reading. The first one being the riparian overlay, riparian corridor overlay zone. That has to do with, and that's, I think there'll be some action on that in terms of the discussion in terms of that. So that has to do with, it's a buffer overlay in terms of stream corridors and water bodies throughout the town that establishes setbacks to protect water quality within the township and also downstream. So that's part of, as all these ordinances are, a set of ordinances that we're working with the Department of Environmental Protection, and it's part of the plan endorsement process. The plan endorsement process is something that the town's been involved with for about 10 years with the State Planning Commission, and so these ordinances are part of that process. So that involves the riparian buffer overlay zone, involves enhanced buffers along stream corridors, and as I said, to protect water quality. The second one is the water conservation ordinance that has to do with outdoor landscaping and conservation. That again is part of the plan endorsement that the DEP has suggested that the town adopt an ordinance dealing with conservation of water to protect the water resources. As you know, that the water supply is very important, and there's very important benefits to conserving the water. This has to do with the way it works. Has to do with so the mechanics of it are that if the mayor and township committee find that there's a water emergency, which they would declare upon the advice of the township engineer, they can invoke certain restrictions on water usage on outdoor landscaping. That's the second ordinance. The third one is the wellhead protection, and that has to do with protection of the groundwater resources. It establishes protection zones around the potable water wells that are located in the southern and central parts of the town, so that there's to try to minimize or protect those wells from any contamination. It has to, the way that ordinance works it's set up through as a Board of Health ordinance, but it's set up in terms of administratively through the planning board and zoning boards in terms of if there's change of uses that would provide any kind of protection to prevent the introduction of any kind of potential pollution sources in and around those wells. So it sets up specific geographic areas that they to protect those wells from any kind of contamination. Again, this is also another ordinance that was established as part of the plan endorsement process. And again, working with the DEP, they've suggested certain language. Those types of ordinances have been adopted by other municipalities in the state. The last one, and Chris will talk about this a little bit more, has to do with the conservation easement, and that's part of a process, that's part of a form that's being prepared and protection as a condition of plan endorsement that to protect the municipal properties in perpetuity. So let me have Chris talk about that a little bit.
Good evening, my name is Chris Christon, Environmental and Permitting Compliance, T&M Associates, here to represent Township. First reading of an ordinance of the Township of Lakewood County, Ocean State of New Jersey, authorizing the granting of conservation restriction easement, forest and riparian zone preservation areas to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection of properties designated here as township-owned properties outside or partially outside sewer service areas lying within the Township of Lakewood County, Ocean State of New Jersey pursuant to NJSA 4812, 13B1, and NJSA 13B3. Essentially, the intent of the conservation restriction easement is to aid the township in the preservation of approximately 700 acres of township-owned land outside of the sewer service area. These preserved properties will provide the opportunity to address the CAFR tree save requirements, as well as potential riparian zone mitigation. The township is assessing an ecological value system for each of these parcels for consideration at a later date to preserve the land and create value.
In layman's terms?
In layman's terms, you're going to deed restrict approximately 700 acres to preserve it in perpetuity to DEP. That will be used to address, in the CAFA policies, there's a tree save requirement for development, and development takes place within the township. You could utilize some of these parcels to address riparian zone impact mitigation. The deed restriction will preserve these lands so that they cannot be developed going forward in the future, but will allow them to be used for the riparian zone mitigation and the tree save requirements associated with the Coastal Area Facility Review Act policies.
So that's about 700 acres that will be preserved forever.
That is correct.
So I mean, there's about 4% of the actual land in town?
Approximately 4.5% of township owned land.
Township?
The township, oh, I'm sorry. Stand corrected.
4.5% of township property preserved.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any of the committee have any questions? I understand that one of these ordinances is going to be carried tonight because it's going to be taken care of during the plan, the master plan. Correct? Mayor, you want to explain why we're going to be carrying it?
Sure, one of the overlay ordinances are protection rights of like C1 waterways and certain environmentally sensitive areas. And what the DEP has asked us to do was to overlay our zoning on top of their rules, so not only is it controlled by the DEP, but our rules also control that. In order to do that, we would have to notice every one of those zones, and there's quite a few of them. In order to do that, you'd have to notice probably almost the whole township. And being that we're doing the notices anyway now through the master plan, we wait a couple of months, and you don't have to go through that entire process. People will know about it. I mean, it's public, and people will know about it from the master plan
I
advertising.
think DEP's on board with that. I hope
100%. We'll probably get it done quicker this way than trying to get it advertised before the
Mayor, can I
master
ask you
plan.
one question? If I read you right, you said that this is all turned over to DEP for, in their jurisdiction, they'll be handling it and overseeing it?
No.
No.
Mike,
So they came over, no, I'm talking about the other one.
yeah. So Mike, can I explain that to you real quick?
Yeah.
Basically, there's a conservation easement. There's an easement on the property that says that the DEP has to allow the use of the property. But we control the local monies of it. So in other words, what happens is, and I think that's what you meant with value,
Correct.
there's a value to the taxpayer. So if we have a piece of property that's environmentally sensitive, there's a value to it. If somebody needs a tree save and they go to DEP and DEP says, sure, you need a habitat, or you need a tree save, or whatever it may be, we have a right to collect some of that money. So it's ours, but they're the ones that say, and the purpose of them being in charge of that is to make sure that it doesn't get overused. So there's two checks. There's the town making sure it doesn't get overused, and there's the DEP making sure it doesn't get overused.
Well, I think what a lot of the taxpayers in town are concerned about is that what is wetlands, all of a sudden DEP changes their idea and they're allowing building on it.
I don't think that will happen.
Okay.
That will not happen.
But that's a concern.
It's
that
our property. It's ours.
Okay.
If we were going to go to the DEP to change it, we would have done it a long time ago.
Thanks, guys. We're also going to go a little out of order here. Rather than do the non-consent agenda resolution now, I'm going to hold that till after the public portion. So if anybody would like to have comment, the microphone's open. Please state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments to 4 minutes or less.
Mayor, is this the open portion of the audience about anything?
No, this is the open public comment session.
Okay. My name is Carol Sutno, 59 Foxwood Road. It's really not a statement. I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you. The Brooks Sports Complex, the field, are there buildings there, or is it just fields, open fields?
There's a combination. There's a storage building where the Pop Warner and soccer clubs kept equipment. There's a picnic pavilion that's not a closed building. It's an open pavilion that people, gazebo type thing. Then there's a large soccer practice field at the back. There's the Pop Warner football field, and then there's a softball field that is used.
So there's really not an enclosed building where you could have a party. Now, in order to use it, does the person or group have to apply for a permit?
Yes.
And is it owned by Lakewood?
Is it sports
The-
complex?
yes.
Yes, it's township property.
So that being the case, and they have to have a permit, couldn't it be incorporated that they have to pay a fee to supply security during their event, rather than waiting for the gunshots and the knifings, and the police have to come up and put their lives in jeopardy, where they could perhaps be there and stop it before it escalates?
We've had probably thousands of gatherings, picnics, and parties in all of our parks over the last, well, the 16 years that I've been up here. And this is the first time that we've seen something like that happen. We were talking about this earlier during the executive session about security and whatnot. And I think it really depends on what's going to go on there.
Because somehow one thing does, when one time it happens, somehow it leads to another. And you've got to make us feel safe. We do not feel safe in Lakewood anymore.
You should, because this is a very rare occurrence. The party should have been shut down at 6:30, 7 o'clock. That's what we're looking into, because the permit was good till dusk. This happened at 9:30. We've already instituted some security procedures where the parks are going to be locked again at night. Brook Road for a long time hasn't been locked at night, and there's been no problem, because a lot of the sports clubs would practice out there. The Pop Warner uses it for their practices. The soccer club did for years. We have some lighted fields out there for them to use. So those gates will start to be locked there and in other parts. We're also looking to have cameras installed so that we do have a little bit better security out there. We're going to increase the park security guys that are part-time right now on the weekend to give a little bit more coverage that we have. But again, I've been to an awful lot of events over the years at these different parks and playgrounds. Some of them have had several hundred people, and really there's never been an issue. So I think this is really an outlier. We're looking at the situation involved in it. I don't have a lot of the details to share with you at this point. But I think you can count on one hand the number of serious incidents that have happened at any of our parks in the last 20 years or so.
Right.
Used heavily.
The other thing I'd like to address quickly, while I still have a few seconds, and I've spoken about this before at township meetings, not recently, you've got to do something about the kids hitchhiking and the cars that stop for them. It's impossible on Cross Street. There's going to be a terrible accident. They just pull over with no regard for any cars around them or pedestrians. Big doors are opened up and kids pile in. I mean, these kids that we pay to bus, that are paid to bus to school, and then they go out for a break and they jump in anybody's car. This is not safe. And I addressed this several years ago, and I was assured that the Rebbies were going to be spoken to about, and they would speak to the kids. And not only has it not gotten better, but the problem has escalated. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Perfect time.
Howard Suckno, 59 Foxwood Road. Since moving to Lakewood 16 years ago, I have seen very little in the news about town that I viewed as uplifting. I found it ironic when I read in the Lakewood Scoop that Lakewood is one of the safest cities in our country. Even more interesting were the comments of several Lakewood officials to this news. They are very proud. Why did I find this ironic? This announcement came only a short time after 4 people were shot in just one incident last Saturday night. Many weapons were found, and who knows how many weren't, and are out there in the hands of violent miscreants. I couldn't help thinking about other events that have taken place during the time I have lived here. How many murders have there been in and around High Point and Woodland? Weren't most of these said to be gang-related? How safe should Lakewood residents feel if 2 of our police officers are shot, one fatally and one maimed for life? What about the times Lake's Terrace was rented to groups for parties that turned violent and required police intervention, putting our police officers in unnecessary additional danger? Only days ago, there was a SWAT team-led raid at High Point. Wasn't there an incident at the 7-Eleven near the lake where someone was attacked with a baseball bat? Wasn't an Orthodox gentleman badly beaten in a street mugging several months ago? This was not an isolated incident. There have been many other muggings, beatings, and other violent acts that have been reported. There have been many articles, particularly after holidays, about from homes being burglarized. These are only a few of the many criminal events in town that I recall. What I find particularly ironic and disturbing is that those township officials who speak out so proudly about Lakewood being called safe are so silent when major crimes and other events such as those I have pointed out take place. Where was their anger? Where was their outrage? Where was the "this isn't going to happen in my town" attitude? Their silence at those times was deafening. I have the highest regard for our police officers. Their badges make them targets. Despite this, they are out there day and night doing their best to keep us safe. I wish we could somehow keep them safer. They deserve much more respect than they get for the job they do. I wonder how much safer this safe designation makes them feel. Perhaps compared to Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, and even Camden, Lakewood is safe. I must say that when we moved here, we and many of our neighbors would come into town at night, mainly to attend events at the Strand. We no longer do that. We just don't feel safe. I doubt that the Safe City designation will change how we feel. We just see too much and hear too much that is contrary to the Safe City designation.
Deborah Lampert, 1142 Carolina Street. My question is, I live on the cul-de-sac. There's 22 houses, and now it's my understanding that one of the houses, and I believe one already is going to be changed over to dormitories. I had called and I spoke to someone on the phone. They told me they didn't know anything about it. I mean, there's already a lot of traffic for 22 homes. You got a lot of traffic, and traffic races through. I personally don't have children, so that doesn't, and that part, I think everybody should have something to say, but to put that kind of traffic on such a small cul-de-sac is just crazy. But, so can I get an answer? Are they planning on changing a couple of houses to dorms?
This is the first I'm hearing about it. If you give the clerk the address, we'll check with the engineering and inspection departments tomorrow and see if there's any plans.
Okay, I believe it's 1127 Carolina Street.
You could also give her your name and address and phone number. We'll, you don't have to give it public.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll have somebody get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Larry Blackman. I was here at the meeting on July 13th, and I was concerned at that time about the fact that the mayor and the governing body had failed to take responsibility for the perception that the values of this community are synonymous with scams and crooked dealing and misconduct. And since that time, I thought that perhaps I would see some statement from the mayor indicating that the township committee had considered this and would be setting the appropriate standards for the community by its own conduct. However, I have been rather disappointed not to have seen anything like that. I think it's the responsibility of the township committee, led by the mayor, to lead this township by example, to display moral and ethical leadership in the conduct of the township's business so that there would not be a question that this is a town that abides by the law, that goes beyond the letter of the law, and that sets the tone and the attitude for the people of this township so that they would not even think about breaking the law. Unfortunately, we have seen a media assault on the reputation of the township over the last several months, and the township committee has done nothing to dispel what has been portrayed in the media. The township committee apparently does not care sufficiently about this town's reputation and prefers to have it suffer from these attacks rather than to take action. This has a detrimental impact on our homes and our lives and the value of the property in this community, and I think it's essential that, aside from dealing with all the other issues that the township committee may think are important, I think it's important that the township committee resolve to set the proper tone for the conduct of the people in this township, encouraging lawless behavior, such as what was discussed by some of the speakers previously and such as what has been seen in the media recently. Encouraging that type of behavior breeds contempt for the law and leads to a reputation in this town that really is detrimental to everything that Lakewood is supposed to stand for. I think that you, Mr. Mayor, need to lead this committee and lead the entire township to reestablish some moral and ethical values in this town. It's your responsibility, and I think you need to step up to the plate. Thank you.
I'm going to set the tone right now, Larry, by thanking you for your remarks. Next speaker.
Hi, good evening. Mary Ann Sorensen-Malachi, Projects for Environmental Health, Knowledge, and Action. And I'd like to just respond to some of the comments and the introduction to the ordinances that T&M Associates offered us.
That's why I asked you to stay. Feel free to address your comments.
Okay, good. A couple of things. So without being melodramatic, there is a water crisis, basically, in this country, if not the world, but we're talking about Lakewood right now in Ocean County. And in 2012, as a matter of fact, Lakewood was part of a water supply panel at Georgianport University. I had a project going on with high school students, and they participated as well. And there was a lot of concern at that time, 5 years ago, about the growing community and the sources of potable water to fulfill the needs of that community. And so these ordinances seem to be much needed, well overdue, and I hope the township takes the most conservative actions in terms of these water protections as possible. And specifically to speak to some of the ordinances that were mentioned, the riparian overlay zones. There are a number of water bodies that are part of the Barnegat Bay watershed that are part of Category 1 streams, which means they're used for drinking. Lake Carasaljo is one of them, used for drinking by people south downstream, including Brick. Brick has had an autism cluster. And you know, that's obviously not being able to connect it to specific sources in most cases, but a lot of the illnesses that people are having, cancers and neurological diseases, are associated with specific contaminants. So for example, the Roundup, right? Monsanto, major lawsuits against Monsanto now because they hid the fact that their herbicide, common herbicide, right? Common contaminant that people use that becomes a non-point source contaminant of these water bodies. There are non-Hodgkin lymphomas associated with this herbicide. There are neurodevelopmental toxins associated with a lot of the 9-point source chemicals that end up washing into the water bodies. And even though they're not directly earmarked for drinking, they are tied into our whole watershed system. Not only for the health of Barnegat Bay and the coast, but also, again, downstream as a partial drinking source. So, also in terms, so the buffers are important. Also in terms of the water conservation ordinance, if the township could blend into that, maybe some support from the cooperative extensions to create education about native plants that need low water maintenance. And so if that could be part of that whole conservation effort. And as well as the conservation ordinance as a condition for plan endorsement, Committeeman Lichtenstein said that there's, or I think we understood there's 700 acres of public township property. And I think what I heard is that that will be dealt with in the master plan update. And I guess I would encourage the town not to transfer those properties over between now and when they're incorporated into this ordinance. Okay, thank you very much.
Seeing nobody else?
Absolutely.
Hi, Gloria White, 1138 Carolina Street. I do live behind Brook Park where the shooting did happen. It did happen at 9:59, 10 o'clock at night. We did hear the shooting. Unfortunately, there was no security there, and we live directly behind the park. So it is a concern. It is a concern. There was no security. These people were supposed to leave at a certain time. They should have left. No one was there to escort them out. That's one of my concerns. My second concern is I'm going to address the water issue. The water issue is most of our houses in that development is well water. The houses that are being built or added onto are bringing in more families, so therefore they are using the well water. That is a concern for us as well, because it is going to affect us in the long run. If we're building single-family homes and we're bringing in a family of 20 people, then that's 20 people drinking water, taking a shower, and whatever have you. So that is a concern for us as well. The other thing that I have a concern with is a pool problem. I have a pool problem. They rent the pools out, or they use the pools. We have several schools, children that do not live in the area that come and use the pool as their summer camp or whatever. It is single-family homes. These people have pools in their backyards. I don't know if they're renting it. I personally have a pool in my backyard, and if that's the case, then I want to be part of it. Because I want to make some money too. Basically, we have groups of buses coming in and dropping off these kids in some of the neighborhoods. So someone is not either coming out to investigate, or someone is not getting the orders they're supposed to get, or the permits they're supposed to get. I do believe you need lifeguard, you need insurance, you need all this good stuff to keep our children safe, not just mine, but the ones in the neighborhood as well. Most of these kids that are coming in are not from my neighborhood, so they're either coming from the school across the street, or they're being dropped off on a bus levels, and they come within the hour and the hour. And my fourth concern is the busing. You have busings coming inside the cul-de-sac. Half the times I can't get out. When the buses start coming in and dropping off the kids, usually my kids were raised in Lakewood, went to Lakewood, graduated from Lakewood High School. I am a proud parent of it. I support it and pay my taxes, so I feel good about that. But the buses, my kids used to take the buses up on the corner. I mean, if they make a bus stop up there, then everybody can go. It just makes it so much easier for all of us. I mean, we all live here together, so we gotta work together. Somewhere along the line, we have to make this happen. Thank you.
Your answers, or?
Well, yes.
I'm still trying to figure out why the party wasn't shut down at dusk when it was supposed to. It's not going to happen anymore. We are going to make sure that those parks get properly emptied out, and they're all going to be locked. Brook Road for a lot of years was not locked at night because there were never any problems over there.
Believe me, I know that. I see it every time. There's police action all the time, and not only that, it was very dark out there. Those lights are not left on, and they're only left on the field.
the parking part area, any police officer can go down that road and get killed, because that's what they're doing, they're really checking out the area. By the way, last year, I got broken into, and they came from the park, they found half of my stuff on the other side of the park. So it's a concern. It's
We
a
are
concern.
going to put cameras up out there as well for security.
Well, cameras would be great, a gate to stop the cars from coming in would be
The gate is going to
great.
be locked, it hasn't been in the past.
Right.
Your second part is, I was under the impression almost all the new houses going up there tying in either New Jersey American to the west or the MUA to the east. I'll have to look in and see. I didn't think there was any well water permits being issued for out there, but we'll look into that part.
Right, but the houses that are already built are adding on.
Correct. Okay.
So if they're adding on and you're a single family home, then you're building.
I forgot what the last question was, I'm sorry. The bus, okay. We'll talk and see if maybe they can arrange to put that bus stop back to the corner. I know exactly where you mean.
Right.
I live.
And I know I've gone to the busing director as well, and I spoke to him, I said, well, is a safety hazard? I said, well, you know what, it was a safety hazard for my kids as well.
I'll look into that, but your time was up, so I do.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Secret government goes together with corruption. I don't know which comes first. If a corrupt government wants to be secret, or when there is a government that has secrecy, it leads to corruption. I'll bring you an example. One of the resolutions tonight is talking about reappointing the township clerk to her job. I think that's what it is. In the past, it was great. You came in over there to the Department of the Clerks. They gave you whatever you wanted, unless it was personal information or some type of legal matters that protects the township. Any document that we requested was provided. Sometimes they made us fill out Oprah's. We filled it out. She even helped us to fill it out. It was great. What happened was, since it was uncovered by the master plan, the major corruption that we uncovered, most probably by you guys it doesn't mean anything major, but the people of Lakewood, as we saw what's happening with the master plan committee, with the subcommittees, and who was on there and how they conducted and all that, they just became very not willing to forward anything. And it became very rough for us. I even once got threatened by the township manager and to throw me out of the building because he was like accusing me of doing something wrong. The last time I had this was ironically the first time I came to record a planning board meeting. You know what first time, I was never here. You know what one of the planning board members did? He went over the podium, went to the police department to find out maybe I have an arrest warrant on me. I didn't pay a ticket years ago. They'll be able to arrest me, teach me a lesson, and like this I'll stop doing what I did then. But obviously I was lucky I didn't have yet then. I don't know now. But
We'll find out.
yeah. As you know me now, is that won't deter me. I don't know. I'm assuming is that she is not the guilty one in this happening. She claims it's the attorney. It might be something else. I think the mayor, and give credit to you, I don't know if that's a good thing for you or a bad thing for you, but you're doing a lot of good stuff as far as fixing up, but you have a whole government behind you, and I don't know who's doing what. But when we address stuff to you, you usually take care of it, and in the past, I think you did a good job with that. I'll give you an example. Tonight's meeting was advertised, was a cancellation, rescheduled. There will be 6:30 a workshop, an executive, followed by 7:30. Then there's a new notice in the township, only says 5:30 earlier, and doesn't say when the township will. I thought only I had a question, but people in the public also had a question when they came in. It might just be a mistake, or it might be a pattern of behavior that the township doesn't feel important that these public stuff that is being posted, or information that we, the public, are paying a lot of taxes. I know we're not the VAD has control, and they could at least give us the information how you're conducting your business. I don't think we don't have no rights, and you have to give them away all the land of Lakewood. But at least give us the information that we're paying taxes to, how the government works. Finishing up, some of the stuff that we're asking might not be operable as far as the law. But I understand this if it's personal information or executive, you don't want to give it out. But if it's not either those, and we're not asking information to clog up the system just for a certain document, and it's not full, and you could deny it under the law, what is wrong in giving it to show that you're open and you're not corrupt?
Number one, this part of the meeting, the open public meeting, is always at 7:30. Occasionally, if we have a very heavy executive or conference schedule, we can start our upstairs meeting anywhere from 5:30 or 6:30, depending. That's why those notices go out. If it did not say 7:30 downstairs, it was a simple mistake, nothing else. We don't change the time unless there's some very important, overwhelming issue for that. We appreciate
between the two in the workshop.
I appreciate the comments about what I'm doing, but I and the committee are the ones who said that OPRA requests have to be filed uniformly across the board. And that's not to make anybody's life difficult. The problem is you're not the only person who submits OPRAs. A lot of people do. A lot of stuff comes in, and in my opinion, it's not fair if you come in and ask Katie for something, and she's able to help you out and fill it out and give it to you, and somebody else for something maybe similar sends in an OPRA request, and the OPRA request is filed and filled. So I wanted to make sure that everything is uniform, that everybody gets treated the same, is treated fairly. My long-term goal is to make OPRAs obsolete. I'm trying to get as much stuff as possible. It's not possible, but I'm trying to get as much information as possible posted on the websites. The example from last week with the planning board agendas, I talked to Alan Morris about it. It was an issue of those documents should be available for public use, and she just didn't have a way to put it on the website. So we figured out a way to put it on the website. That's one issue taken down. Same thing will happen hopefully for the zoning boards. I'd like to see a lot more of the stuff that we do put up there. So hopefully within the next several months, you're not going to have to
Before
ask.
you become not mayor anymore, because then everything all bets off.
No. I mean, this is something that we all believe. It's not something that I direct and it happens. I consult with everybody on the committee. We all feel the same way. I don't like the fact that people have to file an open request. I agree that the information should be out there, and that's what we're going to try and do.
I know it's fine.
I can't do the conversation. I broke all my rules already.
Nobody is over here anymore.
Does anybody else want to speak? Oh, sorry. I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Jerry Baldwin's Governor's Road. Really hate to be the one to have to ask, but it seems that the Township Committee didn't really go by the due process when you leased land to ChemEd, and I was just wondering if the stories that we're hearing is accurate or not, that according to state statute, if a township leases land to a non-profit, that township has to do it by ordinance. If you're a county, you can do it supposedly by resolution. Now this goes to the fact of the draft agenda and the final agendas. And at that meeting in November, on the draft agenda, the lease of land to ChemEd was posted as an ordinance. Then evidently when people came here and got the actual agenda, it was listed as a resolution. Fortunately, I was able to look at the video, because evidently I wasn't here that night. And I looked at the video that the First Amendment activists had posted. And that night was very heavy with a lot of comments about overdevelopment and stuff. And so then you go to the agenda, and there was resolution number 11. And that wasn't, people didn't have time to really see what resolution 11 was, and that was for ChemEd. So I would think that if you were really, why did you want to keep it secret? Yeah, it was there, but it was on the draft agenda that it was going to be listed as an ordinance. And then the night of the meeting, where people really have a hard time reading the agenda to see, what to comment on, nobody asked about that lease for $1 for an acre of land, 40,000 square feet of land, I believe it was. And, if you're going to be expanding health services for people that need it, there should have been whistles and bells saying, hey, we're going to be giving this land, and ChemEd is able to provide more services. Instead, it was done that way. And so I really want to know, was it really supposed to be done by ordinance, as was proposed in the a draft agenda? But then you went and did it by resolution. So was that information correct regarding state statute? I know things change, you're trying to do something and you're looking on the web and, you know, laws have changed in Trenton and something may not be accurate. So I'm asking, you know, what really is the solution? Or you can all say it's in litigation, or we're going to send it to the attorney, it's being investigated, and you have no comment.
Lots of comments, but.
Please do.
Number one, draft agendas are just that, they draft things change. What I've tried to do this year is make sure that few, if any, changes are put on the ordinances once it's posted on Tuesday afternoon. There are a few things that were put up today that I would have liked to have it on tonight, but I held off till the next meeting because I released the agenda on Tuesday and didn't want to make any changes for the very reason that you just brought up. Going back to that, you're incorrect. Our attorneys tell us that when you're dealing with a nonprofit or a health facility, you can use a resolution to lease the land. That's what was done with that. I wasn't part of the conversations as to why it was changed from an ordinance to a resolution from the draft agenda, other than the fact that it was able to be done, and that's what the decision was made at the time. I am thrilled that ChemEd is going to build a facility down in the southern part of town. The facility they use up in the north end is just jam-packed all the time with every imaginable type of person from Lakewood. Imagine the one down the south end is going to be the same. They've done a tremendous job in just a few years. I can't say how happy I am for the fact that they're going to be here.
Good evening. Joyce Blay at J News and Views, 11 Floral Way, Toms River. I do have a question for you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to the emails that Mr. Sharaby exchanged with you regarding the ChemEd incident, just to remind you, ChemEd removed trees on Block 1064, Lot 3, without township permit. My question is, in the email you sent to Mr. Sharaby, which were posted online before I reported my current story, you told Mr. Sharaby that the Township Committee was considering leasing the land to ChemEd, when in fact the committee had already done so last year. May I ask why you told him that?
I made a mistake.
I'm sorry?
I made a mistake.
Oh.
The words I used.
Okay, thank you.
I honestly came here just to make sure that you guys passed the resolution about the, but after hearing what some people have been talking about tonight, I just wanted to add my 2 cents.
Just throw your name and address for the record, please.
Harold Hershkowitz, 1496 Cedar Road. First of all, about the crime and about the shootings, I just want to point out that the planning board approved a social hall, an 8,000 square foot social hall that's going to be having the same parties that they're having in Leisure, or whatever the place is called, the Lake Terrace, where there's constantly shootings there. So my joke was that they approved a shooting range, a shooting facility in downtown Lakewood, which is exactly what we needed. Years ago, they decided they don't want to have any bars in the downtown because there was a big problem with loitering and drunks. And basically what they're doing is and they never wanted to put in legitimate bars. Since then, they would not allow any legitimate bars. Not even a restaurant that wanted to put wine or a beer. But they're allowing this social hall. And the problem, the reason is because there's no oversight in the downtown. There's nobody that cares. Nobody cares about signage. Nobody cares about the way, what type of stores move in. Nobody cares if they're legitimate stores. And part of the reason is because we have people on our township committee that manage all the strip malls in this town. And their main focus is their strip malls. And they couldn't care less about the downtown. To the point of where I'm actually competing with a committeeman, Mayor Lichtenstein. I have to compete with him, trying to bring good, legitimate stores into the downtown, and finding out that they're deciding to move to strip malls on the other end of town. in places that they don't belong. They're not even going to do any better business there than they would have in the downtown, and it would have improved our town. So I'm actually, and I don't get paid, and I don't make money on the side from it, but this is what I have to compete with. And it's unfortunate that we don't have years ago, what we should have done with the downtown is we should have made the downtown into an corporation, and said that anyone who wants to open a business, anyone who wants to put up a sign, has to go through a board, and that's the way it should have been set up. But it never was, because again, nobody really cared, because they cared about helping the people that they work for profit. And on that note, also the thing with Chemed, I just find it funny that you're sitting here saying how wonderful is Chemed. There are doctors everywhere. Chemed is a profitable organization. I know they call themselves a nonprofit, but there are people who profit from Chemed. One of the people who profit from Chemed is our own committeeman who actually works for them. And at the time that Chemed was brought up to receive this free piece of land, he was on the township committee. He was the mayor of the township committee. And I know he recused himself from voting, but that's just like a little drop in the bucket, isn't it? Because it's highly, highly corrupt to have somebody. So, I'd like to propose, I'm going to take these two subjects and put them together, because you guys destroyed the downtown for your own profit. And I have to now take my toy store, which I worked 17 years to grow into something special. I want to move. So I'm proposing that I get the land on Route 9, and I am willing to pay double what the other person is willing to pay. So I have $2 in my pocket. I'm willing to pay cash right now, up front, and I want the property. And if you tell me that I'm a toy store and I'm for profit, I'll bring you letters from people, from kids with special needs, parents, doctors, therapists that are sending me thanks and telling me what a wonderful toy store I have. So I don't see why they deserve to have that land, other than the fact that the person who proposed it works for them and is employed by them.
Yeah, hi. I'm not coming to accuse anyone of corruption. My name?
Name and address for the record.
Israel Menushkos, 36 Infidel Road. So I think, first of all, before I just have one or two questions I want to ask, I think the township is doing a great job in a very complicated town. And, everyone's going to always say you're corrupt somewhere, but, everyone has their things which they want. Everyone has their agenda. I just want to ask two agendas which have been bothering people. First of all, with the amount of people moving into town, so obviously it's important that the township allows housing because we have nowhere else to live, no one else wants us. However, I just don't understand the way it's built. Currently I live in Prospect, and I recently got the plans over here for new development. I think this is a great development. I just don't understand why the building 10 feet within my backyard, like there's plenty of room over here, why can't it be moved down and allow the people who live there to have a few trees? Perhaps there could be a rule that the township could take ownership of land between developments, maybe 20 feet, 50 feet, and that could be left as a conservation area for the neighborhood residents. Everyone, the only people who have to gain from switching everyone together is the investors and no one else. I think perhaps there could be such a rule initiated that the township takes ownership of between developments, and no one else can build there, and it's left to have little trees left in the development. Second of all, I wanted to ask if it could be considered that we're making a big traffic study, which may Lichtenstein or I think someone else, maybe Ackerman, maybe addressed. I was just wondering, perhaps we could send a mailing around and ask people their opinion. I personally tried to contact these people. I was unable to get through to them. I tried all different ways. I couldn't get hold of them. Perhaps we just do a simple mailing. It's not expensive. Ask people what they have to say. A lot of people have sensible things to say. I personally, there's a few small fixes which I found in Cedar Bridge. The turning lane could be a little bigger. More people that were not being blocked by the left turning lanes. By 9th and Forest, there could be a sensor put in so the light's not always changing during the week. By James Street and William Street, maybe perhaps we could put in a light. But for example, first in Clifton, I drive down there every day. It's the only street in Lakewood which I'm able to drive without traffic. And I heard the township putting in a light. I don't understand why we need a light. Yet there has to be certain places people have to be able to use common sense, and certain places where it's impossible to use common sense. Let's say by James Williams, where it's a turn, you can't see the oncoming traffic. That over there we need a light. But certain places the lights have to be taken away, and certain places we have to be put in better. Perhaps the township could consider these two things.
Anything else?
No, just you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Before you leave, Dave, you raise your hand. That's Dave Nicola from Mazer Consulting. He's doing the traffic study. They spend a lot of time, money, and effort trying to get the word out to people. If you want to, I'm sure he'd be happy to sit down and talk to you. He will take those suggestions and we'll run it through the traffic guys and see if we can get something good for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, seeing nobody else, going once, twice, we're going to close the public portion. All right, let's see. Can I have a motion for Resolution I? Resolution of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing an emergency appropriation for the purpose of funding the Lakewood Board of Education student transportation costs for NJSA 48:4-46.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Ackerman is absent. Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'm sorry to slow your thunder on that. Motion for the consent agenda?
So made.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Minaj, seconded by Mayor. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. Ordinances for second reading. Am I correct? I'm going to carry ordinance 1?
Yes, Mayor.
I'll make a motion to carry ordinance number 1.
We have August, the next meeting is August 31st, we have September 14th, October.
What's the longest we're allowed to carry it for?
No time.
I would do, no, you don't want it to die. When, Harold, through the chair, Harold, do you remember when's the last planning board meeting for the master plan? Or Marty, do you remember on the schedule, when's the last planning board?
I think September 12th.
What do we have after September 12th?
September 14th, October 8th.
I think October 8th, right?
Carry
Is that, is October 8th, should we, let's do September 14th, Mayor, and if we have to carry one more time, we will, we'll have a better idea that way. About when, I'm just not sure on the process. After that, when do we have to start advertising? In other words, at what point are we going to be ready to second read? Is that the committee, when the committee takes action?
Yeah, I guess it would probably be introduced, you're talking about all the zoning.
The second reading, it would be introduced with all the zoning ordinances?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so then, yeah, Mayor, you're right. Then we can for sure do it October 8th. Let's do it to October 8th. That, you think,
Carry to October 8th.
think Ginger will be okay with that? Sorry, guys, 1 second. You think DEP will be okay with that?
Oh, yes, because I think we gave them that schedule already.
Okay, very well.
All right, roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. Ordinance 2?
We have to change, I'm sorry, Mayor. Chris, did you want us to change that?
No.
Sure?
Positive.
Sorry, Mayor.
Ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, so as to create a chapter BH 21 entitled Wellhead Protection, the Board of Health Code, to create a new section.
Number 2.
I'm sorry.
You go by the turn if you want, Mayor.
All right, we've already read number 3.
No, it's all right, I can read the section. Number 2, ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending the code of the Township of Lakewood by adding a section entitled 16-6, Outdoor Landscape Water Conservation Code.
Thanks. Open the meeting to the public.
Yes, Lakewood has a water source shortage problem that you have to have outdoor water conservation guidelines.
Can I explain it, Mayor?
Sure.
Basically what it means is that if this gives us the right that if there is a water shortage, the mayor has a right to declare a water emergency, and then there are certain rules about when you can water your lawn or unnecessary type water. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen now. 5 years from now, if there's a drought, so it gives the township the right to enforce the rules that say you can do it by odd or even. I think we did odd or even at the end. You can either do odd or even days, depending on your address, to certain times that you could and you can't order your line.
So why shouldn't you pass this ordinance then when you have a problem? Why is it being done now? What happened now that you have an issue that you have to pass this?
There's no issue. What's happening is we've been working on this plan endorsement process with the state. And these are some of the ordinances that we told, the DEP wants us to do this. The DEP has a lot of these rules, but part of what the DEP wants, I guess, sort of to assist them, they want the town to have mirror. So now that we're coming to this part of the plan endorsement process, they've asked us to adopt a lot of these ordinances that you see. Doesn't mean there's an issue
Let me
today.
get the record straight. You don't think we have a water shortage problem? You don't think we'll have it any time in the future? It just, you have a DEP being up here in back.
No, we're working with DEP.
But DEP, for some reason, is requiring you to do this. Is this because they are seeing stuff differently than you guys?
No. No, they're not.
Or they're just making themselves difficult?
Neither.
None of you.
Last year, the DEP issued a drought warning, not an actual drought. And one of the things they required was for the water companies to do what's called a loss or leak test to make sure they weren't losing water through their system. If you have a drought, you have to make changes. And the biggest change there is to stop using water for non-essential uses like water and lawns. What the DEP wants us to do is just have that ordinance on the books, so if they declare a drought emergency, we have the mechanism in place to stop people from watering their lawns.
So the DEP does not have this restriction, only you guys have it?
They don't have the jurisdiction to tell the people of Lakewood not to do it. What they're saying to us is, we want you to have this ordinance on the books, so if we declare a drought emergency, you have the authority to put it in place to stop it.
But you don't see any time in the future that you will have this problem?
Right now, no.
Thank you.
And now, motion by Mike,
Second.
motion by Mayor, any discussion, roll call.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes.
Ordinance number 3, ordinance of the Township of Lakewood County, Ocean State of New Jersey, so as to create a chapter BH21 entitled Wellhead Protection, the Board of Health Code, to create a new section.
Open to the public.
So you have over here wellhead protection ordinance that you're doing. Is that Lakewood has wells that you need a well health? Yeah, Lakewood has wells.
Lots of wells.
And-
UA has wells, New Jersey American has wells.
And water that people drink in Lakewood are coming from these wells.
Yes, after it's been treated, yes.
So why did you remind yourself now to do it, not years ago?
Same answer as before. This is all part of the plan endorsement process. We've been working with the DEP, and what this, through the chair, I'm sorry, and what this does is it mimics what the DEP wants to see for wellhead protection, and it means that certain activities that cannot be done around wellheads. It doesn't mean that there was a problem in the past. Right now, we're doing the plan endorsement process. We're dealing with the DEP. The DEP obviously deals with conservation and water and things like that. So now they're putting all these. It's their turn to work with us to put all these rules into effect to help the protection of the future. Not that there was a problem with the wells. The wells get tested and checked, and the MUA, the DEP is always checking. And this is another.
Like what wellhead protection are you talking about? I'm sorry, I didn't read the ordinance.
Yeah, if you read the ordinance, you'll see there are certain runoffs that you can't do near wellheads, certain, I think, activities that you can't do, like maybe commercial activities, stuff, that kind of stuff.
Certain uses, yes.
Certain uses that they wouldn't want, like they wouldn't want a paint factory, let's say, I don't remember if it's a paint factory, they wouldn't want a paint factory right next to a wellhead.
So if that's one of the requirements is a land use thing, why was this not put for the planning board for their endorsement, like every land use ordinance?
I think it did go to the planning board.
It's a board of health.
Oh, that's fine.
But if one of the requirements in this ordinance has to do with land use, what type of usage you're able to do next wellhead property, then it belongs to the planning board. I'm just asking, I'm not.
It's not really a zoning question. I mean, I can let the attorney of the planners answer that. I don't think it's a zoning question. I think it's more of a particular use. So it's not like about parking. It's not about. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, as Mayor Lindsay said, it's written under the Board of Health. and it's really not a zoning type question, it's not, just
Not in
a
chapter
definition
18.
of what uses are allowed, only in the sense of, if there's a change of use in terms of, and its proximity to the well.
It says XXI, what does XXI
Board
stand
of Health
for?
is 21.
21, so it's not 18. Okay, thank you.
Just that, there's not a lot of questions.
Good evening again, Joyce Blay, editor/reporter, NJ News and Views. I do have a question with regard to this in light of Lakewood's past experience. There was an incident several years ago in which the director of a nonprofit organization, who's also a developer, reportedly received township officials' permission to create a landfill near a wellhead. Will this ordinance have any impact on such activities if members of the township committee or township officials are able to provide permission to do such activities? Just to refresh your memories, this is Mr. Heimabadi, who apparently buried Seamus near a wellhead in the Oak Street area some years back. And it was, according to him, by permission of a township official. I'm not quite clear whether it was committeemen or just somebody in the police department, but the fact remains that he did bury some of which may be items that belong to a landfill rather than near a wellhead. So my question is whether the ordinance that you are holding a vote on for second reading this evening would have any impact on such activities.
Nobody gave him permission to do it. Nobody in this body has the authority to tell somebody to do something like that to us. So we can apparently say things, but it didn't happen the way you're saying it. So
I can only go on the basis of the documents that I inspected. Somebody apparently, according to Mr. Abadi, who's also a developer, gave him said permission. I don't know quite who. Some of the names that were floated out were committeemen, also a police official. I'm not quite sure.
Nothing to do with the ordinance in front of us.
But in other words, will this
I
ordinance...
just said no.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, Dr. Mary Sorensen-Lach from Project for Environmental Health, Knowledge and Action. With respect to the restricted development around the wellhead, we recognize that direct point source contamination would be excluded, as Benjamin Lichtenstein said, no paint factories. But isn't it true that a considerable amount of contamination of potentially potable water is from non-point sources or runoff? And is that correct? Is my understanding correct?
May I answer that question? I'm sorry. Just because I was involved in trying to get this on the agenda, so I'm aware of it. This language basically came from the DEP. We didn't write up the language.
Right.
The DEP sent us the language of what they feel would be proper for wellhead protection. So whatever it was that the DEP felt would protect the wellheads is what we did, and I don't remember if we made 1 or 2 minor changes, and then we sent it back to them for review.
So does that consider development? Because as I mentioned in my earlier comments, a lot of residential development and other kinds of development will be tied to non-point source contamination, pesticides, herbicides, and other kinds of chemicals from automobiles. I mean, you said not parking areas, but clearly in pervious or non-permeable surfaces, there's going to be runoff from the macadam, from cars.
I believe the answer is yes. It does say something about the herbicides and pesticides around the wellhead. I only read it once or twice. It doesn't. I don't remember.
I think that we have to review the language and specificity to see if it talks about non-point source. Wellhead protection generally gets into pesticides and things of that nature and limiting the use of fertilizers. I would recommend that we would review the language from the DEP just to verify.
Well, we're going to vote on it tonight, and if we want to upgrade it, so to speak, because I'm not going back to the DEP and tell them that we didn't. But I'm pretty sure, I'm taking a quick look at it now, I'm pretty sure I saw something about pesticides or stuff along those lines.
And if there's even septic
Did
systems
you
in
read
the
it?
area through development.
Doctor, did you read it?
No, I didn't, I just saw the agenda tonight, so I haven't had a chance to. And so are there additional, well, you're saying we're gonna vote on it, you're gonna vote on it tonight. Are there opportunities for additional comments after,
If the mayor
on this,
allows
on
it.
the Lakewood plan?
If the mayor allows it, absolutely. I see no reason. I'm sure they won't have a problem if we decide to add something to it in the future. I just don't want to not vote on it because I
If you
told
add
them.
anything to it or change anything around, we'll advertise it, we'll have it.
You'll advertise it on the website?
Yeah, it's part of our regular agenda, so yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Jerry Baldwin's Governor's Road. I'm glad to see this is finally getting done. I think all of these environmental ordinances really were supposed to have been done at the previous master plan in '05. So I don't know what took so long to get this done. And I'm just wondering, because of the delay, have there been any wellheads that have, because they didn't have this protection, that they had been jeopardized in some way because of all of the building that has been going on? We don't know where all of these wellheads are located because it said there's supposed to be a figure 1, but there's no map in here to show where these wellheads are to be found. I know in '05, I had downloaded some literature about the wellheads in Lakewood, and I couldn't, I didn't go looking for them now because they're probably in some pile of folders where all this stuff is. But I know they were all over the town. I know there were several that were off of Route 9. Like I remember there was one across from, I think, the Chateau Grand area, and now there's been all kinds of development over there. I don't recall, and of course the other wellheads are off of Vermont, where the Seamus site was built or put in the ground. But that area, American Water has the big fencing around that property, and they have a lot of land there. Whereas I don't know if the protection of these other wellheads around town have any kind of fencing. And so I'd like to know, where is that instead of having to try to download it from the website. I tried to do it this afternoon, but I wasn't able to get it done. It just didn't work. So I was hoping there would be a map, and there isn't any map with this. The other thing is where it says that possibly as a minor pollutant might be a septic leaching field under number 5. I know I have a friend who says there's a septic field near her that isn't kept up and that it is polluting into a pond that's behind her house. It's off on near Pine Park. Near Pine Park. So I don't know, that would be a minor source of pollutant if you have a septic field that hasn't been certified to be working. I don't know too much about septic fields because every place where we lived, we had sewers. But I know that it's an important thing, and I'm curious to see that it was noted to be as a minor potential pollutant. So I'd like to have seen the map and a comment about the septic field. And I would hope that the planners here would talk a little bit more about the importance of this ordinance, rather than, because we haven't had time to really look at this, and I just wish we could get a little bit more of an education going on regarding this ordinance.
Jerry, I have been talking to representatives of the water company in the last year and a half because I was concerned about this, and from what I have been told by them, they're having no problem with any of the parts. There is a constant report supposedly coming into the township as to the conditions of the water that we have in Lakewood. And we have no reports, we've got no reports of problems. They would have to notify us immediately if there were problems. As to where the wells are, there's so many of them now. You might be able to get something from New Jersey American or the MUA as to the location. But my contacts with senior representative of New Jersey American and anyway, there has been no problems with wells. I thought there might have been a problem in the southeast corner of town because we had a problem there with an illegal landfill at one time. There's been no problems with those wells. However, most of that water is going to the co-gen anyway.
Okay, well, again,
Most
there
of
may
that
not have
water-
been problems, but we don't want any problems.
We don't want any
because we
problems,
don't want
and
any
it's
problems.
constantly being monitored, Jerry. You
Water is
would know
checked.
immediately.
Water's checked every year. The MUA just posted on their website the results of this year's. They check for all sorts of stuff. All the MUA wells I know are fenced off. There's actually a building that's locked over the wellhead itself to protect it. I don't think they like to advertise where they are because they don't want people to go out there. It's great water infrastructure.
Oh, I know, I mean, that would be disastrous.
It's all checked. We'll move ahead and make sure, we'll look into the leach field issue.
Mayor, you're 100% correct. The maps are not made available to the public. This is for reasons.
Oh, they are not purposely not made available?
Yes, there is security reasons.
Okay, but like in '05, there were all these
A lot
little
of things have
dots.
changed since 2005.
There's a lot of, obviously, it's not like the top, we can share, it's not a top secret government facility. If you look around and you do enough research, I'm sure you can find the wellheads. But it's not put out there as an easy read because of concern about the infrastructure, critical infrastructure.
Okay, well, who has that information if a plan is
The
going into
DEP
development, the
and-
planning board or the zoning board? Because it seemed like, I know one time, it was the one that was like on Cushman Street and Route 9, and there was some project going in, and I knew there was a wellhead from before that. I thought there was one. And I guess, I mean, I didn't follow up on it or didn't ask the right questions or something. Who knows where these are?
I think our planners have that, right? You have a list of where the wellheads are if you need to.
Yeah, not the sheriff, but you know where they are.
Yes.
That's the answer to your question.
And so is that like one of the things on the checklist for applicants for development that shows
I'm not
that?
sure how in New Jersey America works, but the MUA has a developer's agreement for any of that stuff, and that's all considered for management. So yes, I'm sure the individual utility works with anybody that is, proposing any particular limit.
Okay, well, we want to be sure we protect our water. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Seeing nobody else, moved by Mike, second by Menashe, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes.
Ordinance of the Township of Lakewood County, Ocean State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 2 entitled Administration of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Lakewood, specifically Section 2-76, fees for miscellaneous services and copies of public documents.
Open to the public.
I realized, I just realized something terrible happened.
Name and address for the record that he can.
Shlomo McLean, 189 Chateau Drive.
Thank you.
The last few speakers that came up to the public comment, she did not put on the clock. I come on, she puts on the clock. I think that's totally not acceptable. I was just about giving you a compliment that by the ordinance, you stopped, you're just having a conversation and getting us educated what's going on and not keeping it a limited time. And then I turn around, hey, she put on the clock dummy. I feel she's discriminating against me. That is again going again. I don't know why she's doing it. She's a nice person in the past. She didn't do it in the past. She's doing it now. Don't know if it's her herself and you guys have to come fix up her messes, or she's being directed by this higher power that is in Lakewood.
And we should put that right on.
So, am I going to be treated now differently than the previous speaker? I was just going to give you a compliment for it.
I love compliments, turn off the clock.
Thank you. And if in the future you decide not to turn,
Everybody gets clocked.
or if you decide not to turn on the clock, like you did in the
I don't even see the clock unless somebody says I almost have.
But again, this came up in the past. It was done under Menashe Miller. He got intimidated by public comments
Where's the compliment?
What do you mean the compliment?
They have a compliment.
The clock is still on.
She stopped it.
It's not stopped. It's going down as we go.
Start it over, put it back to 2 minutes.
They gotta start with a compliment first.
I think
Maybe even 5 minutes instead of 4.
No, because under Menachem Miller, when this rule went into effect, he said 5 minutes by ordinance. I think the township attorney told him it has to be 5. But again, I think is that it's a wrong thing to do. I promise that if you stop doing this 5-minute thing by the ordinance, I won't filibuster you. Anyways, about this ordinance, about fees for miscellaneous services and copies of public documents. I was by the workshop when it was discussed, so I know what this is all about, but I would like the community managers to explain it to the public. What I do have a problem, again, I don't have a problem, it was discussed like it's like a few dollars that if somebody comes to a birth certificate, and that certificate, the township, they should come to the township.
Let Menashe explain
I'll
the numbers,
answer
and you
this
can
one,
ask a
yeah.
question.
This is a good thing, actually. The reason why we made this change is very simply put. As you know, the registrar's office is the office that's responsible for death certificates, birth certificates, and marriage licenses. We used to have a lot more money coming in from birth certificates when Kimball used to, when Miles Medical South used to do birth certificates and stop doing birth. We also got $50,000 in birth certificates. We also began to realize that the funeral homes, when they get death certificates, they weren't coming to the registrar's office. Instead, they were getting them directly from the state. And the reason why they were getting directly from the state is because the municipality charges $10 per certificate. But if you go to the state, only the first one's $10. Thereafter, it's $2. So when a regular person walks into the registrar's office, they usually ask for 1 or 2. But when the funeral home asks for it, they usually get about 10 at a shot. So it's much more cost effective for them, so they go to the state. Therefore, Lakewood wouldn't get that money. So we came up with a way, we devised a way to tweak it so that the funeral homes would actually utilize the registrar's office. And usually, when you make a change, usually most municipalities are increasing money. But here what we're doing is we're decreasing it because we're also saying the same thing, that the additional copies will be at a much more reduced rate. Ultimately, we'll be making more money.
This is where the issue, I heard, thank you very much for explaining to the public. I heard that by the workshop meeting, and I had the privilege to attend, and I listened to it, and it was explained very well. The only issue that I have is, it costs money for the township to have the clerk's office do that. I realize lately they're very overwhelmed between the security cameras that they have to install, and this blogs, and fixing up, and the audio, not releasing documents. Yes, they're very overwhelmed lately. And they don't have enough workforce to supply all the OPRA requests, the new ones that are coming in.
This isn't out of the clerk's office, it's out of the registrar's office.
So it has nothing to do with...
Katie happens to be the head registrar of the town. No, but she doesn't do that work. She doesn't get involved in that. It's a separate office, what's known as the registrar's office. Those people don't work on OPRAs, and the clerk's office doesn't work on birth certificates, marriage certificates. Only registrars, state certified, registered deputy registrar, and alternate registrar are certified to do this type of stuff. We have the same staff, 3 people working in that office that we had 3 years ago, 7 years ago, and the same thing doing now.
So what are they doing now? Nothing?
No, they're doing a lot more with the births. And it happens to be, and as you know, you think about, during 3 weeks, 9 days, sometimes a lot of weddings, sometimes it's fewer weddings. So it fluctuates through the year. Sometimes we see a whole influx of people trying to get married real fast. In the secular world, people get married at the end. A lot of people come in before the end of the year. So tax returns, they're trying to get married at that time. They're trying to get married earlier. So there are times of the year that fluctuate. I have to be liaison to that office and try some knowledge on this. There are times of the year that a lot of people come, and times of the year fewer people will come. So it's not that this is going to increase the burden or cost too much. This will actually, this is when this funeral home calls it up, they're not waiting at the counter for it. So it's the type of thing, there's a lot of people there for the marriage license. This will sit on the side for later in the day because it's quiet time will get done. So it's not costing the town more. People are there, the personnel is there. It's not costing the town more to get stuff.
Thank you for your good answer.
Welcome to the meeting to the public.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
By Mayor, discussion. Roll call, please.
Sir, Mayor, before the roll call, I just want to say one thing. This is a perfect example, by the way. The way this came about, at the end of every year, or in the middle of the year, I actually get together with my liaisonships that I have. And this actually came out with a luncheon together with the registrar's office and with our employees that brought this up to our attention, saying this will be a good thing. So I applaud our employees and I want to plug out for them to bring this to our attention so we're able to make positive action.
Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. Ordinances for first reading?
Ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 18, entitled Unified Development Ordinance of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Lakewood, specifically Article 8, Design Standards, Section 18-812, signs.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mayor,
Second.
second by Minaj, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes, this ordinance passes second reading on September 14th.
Ordinance of the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the granting of a conservation restriction easement, forest and riparian zone preservation areas to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection of properties designated herein as township-owned parcels outside or partially outside sewer service areas lying within the Township of Lakewood, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, pursuant to NJSA 48:12-13B1 and NJSA 13:8B-3.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mayor, second by Mike, any discussion? Roll call.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes,
Mis-
ordinance passed.
Mr. Mayor, can we let our planners
Oh,
go?
sorry, guys, yes.
And would you guys make sure to transmit to the DEP that we first read this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tell them to pay your moment, no. All right, can I have a motion for correspondence?
So made.
Moved by Minaj, second by Mike, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve the bill list of August 8th.
So made.
Moved by Minaj.
Second.
Second by Mayor, discussion. Roll call, please.
Committeeman Delia?
Yes.
Committeeman Lichtenstein?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Coles?
Yes. Any comments from committee members?
Mr. Mayor, can I just double check, did you give a second reading date for that ordinance?
I believe it was August 31st.
August 31st?
Yes.
I tried to, but I was really.
I couldn't hear it, I want to make sure what was on.
I think I spoke enough tonight, I'll pass.
Okay.
Same here, I think we're not spoken enough tonight, I don't pass.
Motion to adjourn?
So made.
Thanks, everybody. Get home safe.